come to you from Fenway South. It's spring training baseball. The Red Sox and the Pirates going head-to-head as the Grapefruit League schedule continues, and the fans make their way into JetBlue Park here as it is a little bit on the chilly side for spring training baseball. Hi, everybody. I'm Don Orsillo along with Jerry Remy with the Red Sox side of things tonight, and we're also pleased to have with us from Pittsburgh Root Sports, and should be a lot of fun tonight.
And I'm Tim Nevert along with Bob Walk. And Don, yeah, it's a little bit different where both broadcast crews collaborate on one telecast. It's the first of two we'll do this year. You and I will flip-flop, and we've got the old second baseman here and the old pitcher here to give us some insight on each of the teams. First and foremost for the Pirates, a New England kid is going on the hill tonight, Jeff Locke from Conway, New Hampshire. And Bob, he tries to make his way with the Pirates as the fifth starter. Can he do it?
Yeah, I think he can. I think he's the odds-on favorite right now to take that position. Off to a good start in spring training. Looked good last year for us when he came up at the end of the season. I'm looking for him to have a good start again tonight. A couple other things we're going to have to look at is we got the starting infield out there tonight as they get ready for the year. And one of the question marks is who's going to be the backup outfielders this year? Well, we've got three names out there for you to watch tonight. We got Ford, we got PA, and we got Tabata all starting in the outfield. Those guys are looking to back up the regular outfielders.
Some of the things we'll be looking for from the Pirates side of things tonight. Now for the Red Sox side, Don and Jerry.
Well, tonight for the Red Sox, making his second start of the spring so far is John Lester, and so far so good for Lester.
It has been good, and he's worked a lot with John Farrell, trying to get back in form of a couple of years ago, and one of the things they've been working on is him getting back on top of the baseball, keep those pitches down in the zone. Also, Mike Napoli gets a start in this ball game tonight. First time he's been in at first base. His hips are concerned during spring training, but he's back in there tonight for the first time. And later on, we'll see Ruby De La Rosa, an interesting guy, came over from the Dodgers, a guy that throws 100 miles an hour with a very good changeup. He came over in that Dodger trade that sent Beckett over there, among other guys. So we'll see him in this ball game tonight also.
So the storylines are set for the Red Sox and the Pirates. Don's going to rejoin us in inning number 3. In the meantime, Jerry, Bob, and I will head up to the booth for the starting lineups and the first pitch at spring training baseball from JetBlue Park at Fenway South coming up. Welcome back to JetBlue Park at Fenway South in Fort Myers, Florida. Just a slight bit of precipitation falling here in southwest Florida, but shouldn't affect the ball game as John Lester and the Red Sox have taken the field. The lineup first for the visiting Pittsburgh Pirates. In center field, Darren Ford. Jose Tabata this spring leads the team with 2 doubles in 7 at-bats. He came in a lot lighter, too, about 15 pounds lighter this year. Garrett Jones hits third. Pedro Alvarez in the cleanup spot. The switch hitting second baseman, Neil Walker, bats fifth. Brandon Inge, the veteran bench player, is the designated hitter tonight. Felix Pie in the outfield. Clint Parmas at short. And the catcher, Lucas May. And the left-hander, John Lester, on the hill for the Red Sox.
Well, you see the numbers a year ago for John Lester, making his second start of this spring. He worked a couple of innings against St. Louis. In that ball game, no runs given up, but no walks, 1 strikeout for Lester. And, of course, right now, John Lester, the ace of the Red Sox pitching staff.
And we've got a pitcher in the booth here, Bob Walk, who has seen John Lester go in the past, as well as Jeff Locke. But defensively, for the Red Sox, Ryan Lavarnway doing the catching around the infield. Former Pirate Pedro Siriaco, Stephen Drew at short, Dustin Pedroia at second base. Mike Napoli makes his debut tonight for Boston. Nava, Ellsbury, and Victorino in the outfield, left to right. And Bob, your thoughts on John Lester, a guy who's been the opening day starter for the Red Sox the last 2 years?
Well, I would think he would have a lot of weight on his shoulders going into this season, and he got his ERA up there a little bit last year, and probably wants to kind of reestablish himself as one of the better pitchers in the American League.
Lester getting set to face the Pirates center fielder tonight, Darren Ford. Ford trying to make this ball club as a bench player. Gets the start, punts his way to the right side. Napoli tested right away. Ford slides, and he is out. So Mike Napoli gets his first action on the first pitch of the ball game.
Well, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? You got Napoli over there for his first game. Why not try him out? So the push bunt toward the first base side. Ideally, Ford would like to go to second base with that ball, but he gets it to Napoli. And Napoli gets that first base back just before sliding forward.
Testing that hip a little bit, isn't he?
Is he? Right away. Right away.
And Napoli talking about the hip, saying hasn't been bothering him, so he hasn't been thinking about it. But certainly he's glad to be back out on the field tonight in game action. Jose Tabata looking to regain his spot in the outfield with the Pirates.
He looks to be moving a little bit better. We got to see him the other day in over across the other side of Interstate 75 playing the Twins here in Fort Myers, and he was really running well, jogged well too around the bases. He hit his first home run of the spring,
line drive home run into the wind, and he will take that pitch from Lester. Count now is 3-0.
Now, one thing we don't want to have is a game like we had a couple of days ago where there were walks all over the place between the Pirates and Red Sox.
There was only 15 of them.
That's all.
From one team. And the Red Sox won that game 16-6 in a spring training classic. How long was that game, Bob?
Oh, 3:30 something. It's a typical American League game, that's all.
3-1 pitch coming to Jose Tabata. One out top of the first inning, and Jose rips this one foul past third. Rips it past Pedro Siriaco, who's been playing more shortstop and second base in his career, and he is one of the guys in the mix for the backup third base spot. Middlebrooks is okay. His wrist is fine, but Siriaco showed up in Boston last year, had a few big hits for the Red Sox. Payoff pitch fouled away.
Well, as we know, Siriaco, very athletic. He's got some good speed. He definitely can do something, do some things to help you coming off the bench. So I would imagine he's got an excellent shot.
No, I think he's got a great shot at making this ball club. He did a lot of nice things for the Red Sox last year. Very good speed, can steal a base for you, good throwing arm. He's the guy that they're going to count on, I'm sure, for utility player.
To right center field, Ellsbury records the second out. Let's say good evening to Jenny Dell downstairs. Hi, Jenny.
Good evening. And after weeks about Mike Napoli having to deal with the hip injury and the issue, he's happy to make his first spring training start. And as you see, tested right away. John Farrell said that Napoli is good to go, but he needs to be cautious when sliding. Napoli's response, he's going to play the game like he always had. He said when you start worrying about things, that's when you really hurt yourself.
Well, it's one of those if you can't beat them, join them type of things, isn't it, Jerry? With Napoli, he had just annihilated Boston pitching the last few years.
Absolutely wore out Red Sox pitching, and I'm sure that's what made him so attractive to the Red Sox. Plus, they needed a right-handed power bat in this lineup.
Garrett Jones at the plate. Jones had an outstanding season last year, and right now is in line to be the starting first baseman. He probably figures, too, Bob, to play some right field again, as he did last year, and maybe platoon at first with Gabby Sanchez, who hit 2 home runs in a split squad game earlier today in Sarasota against the Orioles.
Ideally, they would like to have Garrett Jones just as a first baseman. They want somebody to be out in the right field area for good and not have to move around. Hoping right now that Snyder takes off, hits with power, and and plays right field on an everyday basis, so they don't have to look at Garrett Jones.
And Jones strikes out on a Lester breaking ball. Nothing across for the Pirates as Lester gets them in order. 1, 2, 3. Red Sox coming to bat when we return to Fort Myers.
To you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Be there for the opening homestand of the 2013 season as the Baltimore Orioles visit Fenway Park for a 3-game series, starting with the home opener April 8th through April 11th. The action continues April 12th through Marathon Monday on the 15th when the Sox battle Tampa Bay. Get your tickets for these great matchups at redsox.com/tickets.
No score, bottom of the first inning at JetBlue Park, Fenway South, with Jerry Remy and Bob Walk. I'm Tim Neverett. Take a look at the Red Sox lineup sent out by John Farrell. Jacoby Ellsbury leads off, plays center field. Dustin Pedroia at second base. And last season at 39 doubles to lead the Sox. Shane Victorino, newcomer, in the third spot. Mike Napoli, first baseman, batting cleanup. Stephen Drew at short. Daniel Nava in left. Ryan Lavarnway doing the catching. Mark Hamilton is the DH tonight. And Pedro Siriaco bats ninth against Pirate left-hander Jeff Locke.
Well, as we talked about in the open, Jeff Locke is the guy that they would like to see grab a hold of that number 5 spot. He got the starts at the end of last year. He's, looks like he's got off to a good start here in spring training. And I just think that the job is his unless he just totally falls on his face this spring. And I don't see that happening.
Jerry, always good to see some New England kids doing well. Locke from Center Conway, New Hampshire. And I know a lot of folks watching on Nesson tonight with interest to see Jeff pitch.
We love our local guys, that's for sure. We don't get many to the big leagues from the New England area, but the ones that get there generally play pretty well.
So Locke pitching to Jacoby Ellsbury up high for ball 1. Locke went 3 innings in his debut this spring against Tampa Bay on Saturday. Retired 8 of 9, pitched 3 scoreless innings. And Locke's pitch to Ellsbury into left field on a base hit. Chasing it down, Felix Pie. And Ellsbury heading for second base. The throw, Walker there to tag him out. So Pie guns down Ellsbury, trying to stretch a single into a double, and there is one gone.
Pie does have a fine arm, and he really played what is kind of a tough ball well. The stands jut out right to the edge of the foul line, and you're not sure what you're going to get as a left fielder. But it just snuck down the line, and Pie was right there and came up throwing. Little offline, but not so far that the adjustment wasn't made and the tag was applied.
That's a little dangerous there, too, for Ellsbury in between whether he should stand up at second base or slide. That's a good way to turn an ankle.
Oh, you don't want to see that in spring training, guys. That's the thing I think that bothers managers, general managers, more than anything else. Spring training or a silly type injury like that would have been. You hate to see something like that.
Yeah, I think when in doubt, take the slide.
What are the Jerry? What are the expectations this year for the Red Sox after what by Red Sox standards was a disaster last year? What are they looking at for this team this year?
Well, I think the expectations from the public are not that high for the Red Sox because of what happened last year. I feel a little bit different about it because I think if their starting pitching is good, I think they've got a good enough ball club to contend in the American League East. I think it all depends on their starting staff, because the bullpen's very strong, very deep, and they've also got some guys that they've plugged into positions here, guys like Napoli, guys like Victorino, who are going to fit in, I think, nicely with this club. So expectations aren't real high from the fans because of what happened last year, but I don't think they're that far away.
Dustin Pedroia draws the one-out walk, so he is aboard for Shane Victorino. The Pirates are plenty familiar with, having seen him the last few years with Philadelphia and Los Angeles. Victorino, now a member of the Red Sox. Batting right-handed against the lefty Locke.
After that game yesterday, I don't think the Red Sox are going to be overly aggressive as far as swinging the bats. They're going to make Locke prove that he can throw the ball over the plate after they received 15 free passes.
That's interesting you mentioned that, Bob, because that was one of the problems last year with the offense, is the fact that they were not as patient as they have been in the past, and they're looking to really kind of get back to that form of offense where they make the pitchers work, throw a lot of pitches early in the game and get them out of there early.
Yeah, the Red Sox, the Yankees, those are a couple of clubs that most teams over the years have pointed to, those offenses, saying that we got to be like those guys. Look how patient they are. They see a lot of pitches. That's always been something the Red Sox, at least lately, been known for.
Inside to Victorino, and the count goes to 3-0. Shane Victorino has been around a little bit. He's been in some big games on some big stages. He hopes to get back there again this year with Boston if they can exceed expectations. Pedroia off of first, and the 3-ball no-strike pitch from Locke in there for a called strike.
I'll ask you guys, because you've seen more of Victorino than we have in the American League, and here's a guy that's going to be moving to right field at Fenway Park, which is a very difficult place to play. How do you think he's going to be able to handle it?
He's a plus everywhere, whatever he does. I mean, he runs the bases well. He's a good hitter, and I think he's an excellent defender. Once he gets used to the intricacies, the way that right field is, I think he'll be great out there.
So Victorino draws the walk. Back-to-back walks issued by Jeff Locke. 2 on, 1 out. And you can see just a little bit of rain falling around Jeff Locke right now. As Mike Napoli gets set for his first spring training at bat with the Red Sox. Not enough to worry about at this point. Not enough rain, that is. 38 career games against Boston, 15 home runs. And now in a Red Sox uniform, he hopes to have that same magic at Fenway Park. And Jerry, the reports are, and reading some of the news out of Boston, is that they feel, at least scouting-wise, that Napoli's got a perfect swing for Fenway Park.
Well, he certainly has against the Red Sox in Fenway Park. There's no question about that. I mean, we've been tired of seeing him going deep over that left field wall, and I think that's one of the things that made him very attractive for this Red Sox offense.
Ball and a strike to Napoli. Some numbers on the new face, Mike Napoli. 1 year, $5 million deal. There are a lot of incentives involved with that deal. But last year, 108 games with the Rangers at .227, 24 home runs, drove in 56. And in 7 years, a career .259 hitter. Former catcher, now predominantly a first baseman. Runners off first and second on the 1-1. Hit high.
Well, so he's got to make that transition from catcher to first base, and they say so far it's going pretty well for him. You know, he's low in his crouch at first base. He's got very soft hands, of course, being a catcher. And Red Sox are hoping he can make that transition easy to first base this year. But it takes time. Learn the cutoffs, learn the relays, bunt plays.
Well, you think it'd be much easier on his legs, the hips that are the question of being a first baseman than in and out of that crouch constantly behind the plate.
3-1 to Napoli as Locke has been pitching from behind this inning. He's walked Pedroia, walked Victorino, gave up a base hit to Ellsbury. Ellsbury was thrown out trying to stretch the single into the double. Felix Pie, the left fielder, threw him out. 3-1. That's ripped foul, and it'll fill the count at 3-2.
Kind of like a Fenway swing there. Get out and hook.
That's an old Kevin Millar swing. A line drive foul down that third base side. I know Millar's listening. I know he'd love to hear that.
Stephen Drew on deck. Well, with the same dimensions here at JetBlue Park as at Fenway, what kind of advantages does that have for these hitters?
I think it's a tremendous advantage for the whole club to really, especially defensively, to be playing that left field wall and the angle out there at 420. Looks like they're expecting to run 3-2 as they have a little fake at second base for Pedroia.
The Pirates had a horrible time last year with controlling the running game, and that's one of the things that they're really trying to do a lot of in spring training is mix things up a little bit. And
runners go. That's off of Locke, and that'll roll into short left field. Pedro Alvarez will track it down. Pedroia comes in to score. Victorino into third, and Napoli's driven in a run. It's 1-0 Boston.
Well, Locke didn't act like it hurt, but I've been there. That one hurt.
And Napoli at his first at bat for the Red Sox, right off the foot, it looks like, or the ankle. Tough to tell which one.
I think it got his right ankle.
And deflects out toward left field. That's going to score Pedroia, who is off with the pitch. And now they're going to come out and check on Locke, as they should.
Yeah, he ran to third immediately like he was okay, but I mean that squared him up. I mean, right on, I believe, the inside of that right ankle.
Manager Clint Hurdle, along with one of the trainers, Ben Potenziano, out to visit with Jeff Locke.
Pow. I mean, it was high enough that it kind of got up on the shin a little bit.
It looked that way, yeah.
Maybe that'll won't hurt as bad.
Jeff Locke, who had a good outing his first time out on Saturday against Tampa Bay. Kind of the opposite right now. He's given up 2 hits, has walked 2, given up a run, and he's been hit.
Well, this is like yesterday's game. It really is about control. The walks and then falling behind Napoli 3-1, wasn't it? And now you got to come to him. You've already walked 2 guys. There wasn't much of a chance to do much trying to make a pitch.
Pirates pitching coach Ray Searage out to check on his left-hander, and apparently Locke will stay in.
Well, you're mentioning, Bob, how young he looked when he came to the big leagues. And
2 years ago.
He still looks like he's about 18 years old.
Yeah, we saw him as a September call-up 2 years ago, and he looked like he was out of high school then.
Yeah, it was kind of a funny story. The day he came to the Pirates, we met the team at PNC Park, and we were headed off to a road trip in Los Angeles. And I said, "You ever been out to L.A. before?" He said, "I've never been out of the Eastern time zone before." And he had his first start out there. Wondering why it was so late at night. So Stephen Drew, 223 hitter a season ago with 7 home runs. 1 out, runners at the corners, and 1 run in for the Red Sox. Top of the first inning. To right field, and we'll get another run in. Victorino will score. Going first to third, Napoli, and Drew will head into second with a stand-up double. 2-0 Red Sox. Third hit of the inning for Boston.
Yeah, it looked like Locke, trying to do something different, trying to get ahead, and Drew not being patient like everybody else, just jumping on a little inside corner fastball.
Yeah, lefty working against lefty, and really, to me, that's kind of doing Drew a favor right there, because there's always a little give from left-handed hitters against left-handed pitches, and he throws them an inside fastball and he cleans it out for the double.
Daniel Nava.
Well, Locke is definitely, as you can see, not a power guy. He has to be able to hit his spots, control with more than one pitch, change up, breaking ball. He's got to be able to do a lot of things with different pitches. And right now, that's just not happening. As you see him bounce that breaking ball, and it goes to the backstop, gets past May, and they score another run.
And tried to snap off the breaking ball there, and May not able to block it behind home plate. Let's take another look at that curveball, and you see sliding to his left is May, cannot block it. Another run comes home for Boston.
Yeah, that back foot curveball, that's not bad on an 0-2 pitch, something like that, but that's not. I mean, right there, I think he's just trying to throw strike one with a curveball, and you could see how far he missed with it. So the control is just not there right now for Jeff Locke.
That's a good 0-2 pitch right there.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel Nava at the plate. Now, last year we saw Starling Marte of the Pirates hit a home run on the first pitch he saw in the major leagues. They go back to 2010 on the 12th of June. Daniel Nava did him three better. He hit a grand slam on the first pitch that he saw. Hit it off Joe Blanton, second major leaguer ever to do that. Kevin Kuzman off the other. But certainly a legend in New England because of that. Still one out. And Nava chops this one off his foot foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
El Nava right now trying to make this club as both a outfielder and a backup first baseman.
You know, hitters, they get line drives off their ankles all the time. The trainers don't have to run out or anything like that.
And why do they have to come up with pitches?
I don't know. Got to throw some pitches, make sure you're okay. I don't know what this deal is with
one
that.
of my theories, Bob. One way to quit the game, get the game a little quicker. No visits to the mound by pitching coaches. You guys don't want to hear from them anyway, right?
No, not at all. and 9 times out of 10, what is it for?
Exactly.
It's to slow the game down.
Right.
And a 1-2, swing and a miss.
It's like a
strike 3.
Like a 20-second timeout in a basketball game. Just trying to either two things: trying to break the momentum, or you're giving somebody time to warm up.
Chance to warm up.
That's all that's going on.
And I've been to a lot of meetings on the mound, and not many that the pitcher really wants to see the pitching coach out there at all.
What are they going to tell you? Oh, you're flying open.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Really? You're flying open? Yeah. You can tell me how to stop.
See, isn't this fun? You get a career American League position player getting together with a career National League pitcher, comparing notes, and I'm sure they can solve some of the game's problems by the time we're done tonight.
No, I agree. There's so many visits out there. It slows things down all the time.
Ryan Lavarnway, the catcher for Boston at the plate.
I hate the hold and step off stuff you see all the time. I hate that.
How about the one where they pull the ball out of the glove and hold it up in the air?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like
a Statue of Liberty play. What is that for?
Totally useless.
Here's the 0-1. There's a strike. Well, there's a story, Jerry, about Bob in Montreal one night when he was pitching and catching was another New Hampshire guy, Mike LaValliere. How many times did you throw over to first base consecutively?
I don't know, like 16 or something like that.
Okay.
But then there's a way more to it, and we don't have time to get into it.
Just the facts.
Yeah. I did that for a reason.
0-2 pitch.
It had nothing to do with the game.
Long way. Goes down on strikes. So Locke comes back, strikes out the final 2, walks 2, gives up a couple of hits, and after an inning full, 3-0 Boston. Top of the second with Jerry Remy and Bob Walk. I'm Tim Neverett. 3-0 Boston. Let's get out of the Pirates dugout and say hello to Robbie Ince-Makowski. Robbie?
Well, Tim, you look at the GMs of these two teams, the Pirates and the Red Sox. Neil Huntington of the Pirates, Ben Cherington of the Boston Red Sox. They have something in common. Not just that they're young general managers, but both those guys attended the same college, Amherst College. When you look at them, they're both baseball players. They're class 91. Neil Huntington was a first baseman and also a 3-time Division second-team All-American. And Ben Cherington was a pitcher. Pitched for 2+ seasons. He had a torn labrum. Thought it was tendonitis. Turned out to be a torn labrum during his junior season. Had surgery that ended his playing career. Spent his senior season as a coach, which shouldn't surprise you. But also Dan Duquette, the general manager of the Baltimore Orioles, is an Amherst College guy. And here's what's more impressive. The school holds just 1,700 students, guys. So that's pretty cool for a school of 1,700 to produce 3 big league general managers, Tim.
Yeah, I think there are a few others in baseball operations around baseball coming out of Amherst. You know the nickname, Bob? Amherst? Put you on the spot.
Yes, you did. No, I don't.
Pedro Alvarez down to Napoli. Tossed to Lester. 1 down. They're the Lord Jeffs.
The what?
The Lord Jeffs.
Jeffs.
Yes.
I'll tell you one thing. You could put our SAT scores together, we wouldn't get into Amherst.
The Lord Jeffs.
Lord Jeffs. Try to make sure somebody learns something new tonight.
You know, they didn't put up what ended Neil's baseball career. His
injury.
No.
Oh, what?
He couldn't hit.
Oh, that too. Here's Neil Walker.
I know that Neil is here today, so he can't hear me say that. So.
Good. Walker takes inside. Walker's grandfather, Bob Lang, had surgery yesterday. He's recovering. Wants Pap to get well. So Neil sent that message up earlier today. His family watching back in Pittsburgh. Inside 2-0. And Walker, a couple of years ago, thrust into that second base position. Drafted originally as a catcher, then came up as a third baseman through AAA. And the Pirates thought that Aki Iwamura was going to be the second baseman. Things did not work out very well with Aki. Then they tried Delwyn Young. Didn't work out there. And then Neil Walker, a very athletic player who could have gone on to play college football, was recruited by both Penn State and Pitt. Ended up moving over to second base, and through the tutelage of Bill Mazeroski and others, has become one of the better defensive second basemen in the National League.
Did you always come up as a second baseman, Jerry? Through the minor leagues?
I was a shortstop in high school until they saw my arm in pro ball and said, get over to second base.
3-1, and Walker taps it foul. How tough is it to change positions?
Actually, it was not that difficult because I was still young at that time. But I think it's more difficult in the big leagues to change positions. I really do. You know, people sometimes say, yeah, well, he moves from left to right. It's no big deal. It is a big deal. I think anytime a guy switches a spot, it is a big deal, even at the professional level.
Payoff pitch is high, ball 4, and Walker draws the 1-out walk. Pirates with their first base runner of the ball game.
It's one of the few pitches that Lester has had up in the zone so far in this game tonight, too. They really have been working and concentrating on getting him back down at the bottom of the zone with his cut fastball, with his fastball, and that's where he's most effective.
I guess it's very important for left-handers at Fenway to really be able to have some kind of a two-seam pitch that they can work away.
You're exactly right, and it's important also for them to work in to get those guys off the plate and then be able to use the two-seamers down and away to get some weak ground ball outs.
Well, Lester facing a familiar opponent here, Brandon Inge. Former Detroit Tiger, and last year spent time with the Oakland Athletics. Go to first, and Walker is back.
It's one thing John does not have is a very good move to first base.
Well, Lester, the opening day starter each of the last 2 seasons, 7th on the Red Sox all-time strikeout list. He'll start the season with 1,060 strikeouts. Needs 15 more to catch Louis Tiant, who finished up his career in Boston with 1,075.
I noticed that even though Lester didn't have the season last year that probably would have liked, he still got up over 200 innings. There's Tiant in the dugout.
Yeah, he's a horse. There's no question about that, Bob. I mean, he's a big, strong kid.
Napoli will chase this one over by the Pirates dugout and retire Inge. With more on John Lester, let's check in with Jenny.
Just adding to the discussion you were having, I talked to Red Sox pitching coach Juan Nieves on Lester, and he said he really wants him to focus on creating a rhythm and a tempo on the mound. So he wants him to work fast, get him in and out as soon as possible, but keeping that tempo really upbeat. He thinks he had a great job in his first start, and he wants to keep building upon that. So far, so good, guys.
Well, Lester now will face Darren Ford. I beg your pardon, Felix P.A. Darren Ford, the leadoff man. P.A. in left field. P.A. the former Baltimore Oriole and Chicago Cub.
Well, that tempo is something that is really, I think, more important than people realize. If you go down a checklist of good starting pitchers over the years, very few of them are guys that work slow and labor out there. All the good guys, not all of them, there are some exceptions, but most of the good guys are guys that keep a good tempo going, are very aggressive, and have that good body language out on the mound. They're the man in charge. They know that they're going to get you out, and they get the ball and they throw it.
I certainly agree with that, and I think it makes it much more difficult on the hitters working against a pitcher that works quickly. You just don't have time to step out and give a lot of thought to what might be coming next. I mean, if the guy works quickly, you just got to get back in that batter's box and work against him. And when John first came to the big leagues, he was very deliberate, but he has picked up his pace considerably since that time.
Lester's 1-0 to PA. Toward the middle. Drew gloves it. They get the force out of Walker, and that'll do it for the Pirates in the second. And in the bottom of the second inning, Boston 3, Pittsburgh nothing. Three 3-0 Boston, bottom of the second inning. Jeff Locke will face 8, 9, and 1 in the Red Sox order. He was roughed up a little bit in the first, hoping to come back here. I'm Tim Never with Jerry Remy and Bob Walk. Jenny Dell is on the Boston sideline. Probably Ince Mikowski on the Pirates sideline. Don Orsillo is going to rejoin us here for the third, fourth, and fifth. Jerry's wearing me out, so I need a 3-inning break.
We got enough people here to cover the Super Bowl, don't we?
We do. We do. No stone is unturned tonight.
Plenty of voices.
But this is unique, and we'll do this one more time a little later in the month where both broadcast crews will get together to bring you the Pirates and Red Sox. And Hamilton, the designated hitter, fouls it back. And the designated hitter topic is always a big one every year, and this one probably a bigger topic this year because of the interleague schedule. We might see, well, we will see some interleague even opening day. The first Red Sox interleague game isn't until they play that 2-2 with Philadelphia in late May. But Jerry, you played in the American League, Bob in the National League. Different views. You've been involved with a designated hitter or not involved with it in Bob's case. 0-2 pitch inside. What are your thoughts on it with the interleague schedule extended, so to speak?
Well, it's going to make it interesting, I think, for American League teams. I think you're seeing in the last couple of years teams going to more versatile guys as DHs. We of course have David Ortiz here in Boston, but a lot of clubs in the American League have gone to guys where they'll mix and match, so they don't get trapped into that, just the single DH role. And it's going to be interesting this year with more games, as you mentioned, against National League teams. So I'm a fan of the DH because I grew up in this league, and I know most guys that were in the National League certainly are not a fan of the DH.
I love DH.
You do? Bob invented a saying in Pittsburgh, ban the DH. Hamilton ground ball to second, and Walker throws him out. One gone.
No, the American League is fine. I just don't want it to come over to the National League. That's the... And I have a fear of that happening because of the way the leagues have meshed together over the last decade. You have the same umpires now, a lot of the same stuff. Even you use the same baseball, it's all the same. And I like the fact, I used to love the fact that the leagues had their own personalities.
Yes.
And I didn't see that as a problem or a bad thing, but I guess I'm in the minority because all they've been trying to do is make the leagues the same, constantly, really over probably about the last 15 years. I don't like that. I like it when both leagues were a little different. I thought it made the World Series a little something special. It made the All-Star game a little something special. But it's tough to fight progress, and I just have a bad feeling that the DH is going to sneak in to the National League.
Oh, Siriaco hits this one toward the triangle. Darren Ford's back there to play it for the second out. Pedro gave it a ride, but JetBlue Park held it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and we look first at the replay of Siriaco driving the ball a long way to center field, but it is a long way out there, heading toward the 420 mark. And that's kind of where pitchers like to have balls end up in the outfield, around that 420 mark in the outfield. But I'm with you. I guess you might want to call it old school, but I've never really liked interleague play. I enjoy going to the cities. I enjoy seeing the ballparks, but I think it takes something away from the World Series.
I couldn't agree with you more. I do like going to some of the other places. Like this year, we're going to get to go out and see Seattle. Going to go play the Angels. We haven't been out there for years, and I like Seattle. I think that was a neat city. And I loved a few years ago, well, quite a while back now, we went to Fenway.
Yeah.
We had a trip. We went to Yankee Stadium, and we went to Fenway. And I always wanted to see those places, and I saw Yankee Stadium, and I thought, wow, they're going to get rid of this. That's a good thing, because that place was horrible. And then I got to Fenway a couple days later, and absolute gorgeous. I love that ballpark. I know that it probably has its problems, as older ballparks do. I know that a lot of people look at Wrigley as like, wow, this place is so great, Wrigley Field. Well, we go there every year a bunch, and I know all the little warts that Wrigley has. It's not the greatest place in the world, but that's the way I felt when I saw Fenway. I just looked at it, and it's just like a shrine.
Yeah, they've really done a lot of work to it over the last 10 years, and they've brought it back really from the dead. It was starting to get beat up. They were talking about building a new stadium there. New ownership came in, changed all that, built the ballpark back up, and now it's a special place to play.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Jacoby Ellsbury. Base is empty. 2 down. Locks pitch. Just outside, and that fills it up 3-2. Well, I used to live in that Fenway neighborhood on the other side of Kenmore Square for a number of years and loved it, even before the changes. I used to love being able to, the Yawkey way, the old way. Now it's pretty good, too. I know you got your place out there.
Yeah. We got a washer and dryer from there.
You got a what?
Washer and dryer from there. Kenmore.
Ground ball to second. And Walker throws out Ellsbury. 2 innings in the books. Red Sox leading 3-0. Don Orsillo, he's been in the bullpen. He's coming in for the next 3 innings.
Top half of the third inning as we welcome you back to JetBlue Park, Fenway South. Don Orsillo, Bob Walk, and Jerry Remy as we reshuffle here a little bit, guys. Heading into the middle portion of this game, I am out of the pen.
How you doing, Don?
I'm doing good, Jerry. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Bob,
Yeah, you look like you were pretty comfortable in the bullpen over there.
I was on the floor for a little while. It was comfortable, but I'm all right.
You finally got you a chair. Huh?
Yeah, I limbered up the throat, and I'm ready to go. So here we go.
All right, take over.
All right, ready to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Top half of the third inning, and it's Clint Barmas who leads it off here for the Pirates. Barmas, May, and Ford expected here in the top of the third. And Bob Walk, what are your thoughts on John Lester so far tonight, the first couple innings, from what you've seen?
He looks good. Like Jerry was saying earlier, he's doing a good job of keeping the ball downstairs. He has come up with it a couple of times, but when you see that occasionally, that might be a purpose type pitch, coming up. But if his goal is to keep the fastball down, I think he's done that well.
Barmas with a swing and a foul tip, and Jerry, it appears there's no doubt John Lester's coming in kind of on a mission this season to prove some things that didn't go well for him last year.
No, I think you're absolutely right, and that mission started when John Farrell was named manager of the Boston Red Sox. Nieves, the pitching coach, right near Farrell, as you can see in the dugout, and both of those guys have spent a lot of time with Farrell, with all the pitchers really on the Red Sox club, but they really want to get Lester back on track. They know he's the horse of this pitching staff, and a guy, in my opinion, that when he's on, he's one of the best lefties in the American League.
Another guy trying to get back on track is Clint Barmas, trying to bounce back from a tough year last year, Bob.
Yeah, he really struggled with that bat for about 3/4 of the year. Toward the end of the season, when for the team everything was kind of going off the cliff, Clint actually started hitting quite a bit better toward the end. Early on, first part of the season, he was hitting below 200 for a long period. But no matter what happened with him at the plate, he is really a plus out there on defense. He never took the hitting out to the infield with him. A great guy, a real character type guy on and off the field, somebody that you really want to pull for. Stand up and never makes excuses, and hopefully finishing fairly strong last year, he can continue that this season, have a little more confidence.
Lester thought he had strike three, took a step towards third base, but called the ball.
He gets it right in the location he wants, and it's a changeup that time from Lester, and you can see the glove did not even move for Levanway, but he did not get the call.
3-2. That's foul back. Bob, you mentioned that Pirates at one point kind of fell off the cliff. What was that point, and what took place? What got you to that point?
If you asked me 2 years ago, it had a similar type thing. It was the cliff wasn't as far down as it was last year, but it was all starting pitching. The team had a good start to the season, good first half, because the starters overachieved on what was expected of them. Last year, we got off to a good start because the starting pitching was great. Again, the bullpen was outstanding. Hanrahan was unbelievable. And then the hitting in June and July was just amazing for us.
Lester finally strikes out Barmas, second K for Lester.
But the answer as far as what happened, everything happened. It depended on what night you want to pick. I mean, we're going to take a look at that strike three pitch again. But there were some nights where we just couldn't hit anything. I mean, we even got no hit there toward the end of the season. And then one night later, we're losing 10-9. And then maybe we can't catch the ball 2 nights later. It was always something different. There was nothing last year you could point to and say, okay, this is what we have to fix. It was really truly a team collapse. I believe that we lost 35 out of the last 50 games. At one point, we were 16 games over 500, maybe 17 games over 500, and it just went away.
Red Sox Nation is very excited about Joel Hanrahan, and coming into this season for the Red Sox, a guy who pitched well against the Red Sox short time that we saw him. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect.
He really is about as consistent with his velocity as anybody I've ever seen. He doesn't have very many off nights where he is not throwing the ball somewhere over 95 miles an hour, 96, 97, right in that area. He was really very consistent with that.
This is driven deep and far down the left field line, and that'll be off the base of the wall. Nava plays the carom and nicely keeps Lucas May to just a long single.
Jerry, earlier you were talking about the advantages of playing in a spring training facility that looks like your home ballpark, and you mentioned something that I never really thought of. It's probably more important for the defense than it is for the offense, and here's an example.
Perfect example. In most ballparks right there, that's going to be a double. And in Fenway Park and down here at JetBlue Park, that's only a single going off the wall. Good job by Nava playing that ball off the wall. And a nice piece of hitting there by May, too. He got that ball. I was up in the zone. He got on top of it, hit that line drive. So, but defensively, I think is, the reason I think it's a big help for this ball club to play here their spring training games.
One out, one on.
Don, to get back and finish up the hand-to-hand stuff, that the one thing that you have to watch for, and it's going to happen a couple of times during the season, is he'll run into a period of maybe 2 or 3 games where he really doesn't have much idea where the ball's going, where he'll get wild for a little bit. Something I think all power pitchers have to deal with occasionally, and Hanrahan's no different. I mean, you'll see him come out and he'll struggle one night. He might walk the first 2 guys and then strike out the side. But it's just something you have to deal with. But 99% of the time, Joel comes out and shuts them down.
They talked a little bit about, as we look at the trade, for Hanrahan. They talked a little last year. He started messing with a cut fastball and was throwing that every once in a while instead of that nasty slider.
Yeah, I mean, all he has to do is throw his 2 pitches, his fastball and his true slider. If he gets ahead with his fastball, it's over for the hitter, because you're not going to hit a slider. Now, if you can be patient and get ahead of him to where he has to throw his fastball for a strike, as 95, 96, if you know it's coming, you can hit it. That's hittable. But if he gets the hitters in a position where he can just power that slider down there, it's all over. He should never really mess with a cutter. Now, maybe as his career progresses and he starts losing a little velocity, maybe mess with that cutter a little bit. But right now, he really doesn't need that at all.
Jerry, on the other side of that, they get Mark Melancon to the Pirates, and certainly it just started badly with him for the Red Sox. Guy who had a very positive career in Houston and the Yankees in the past, should be a good pickup for the Pirates.
Yeah, I hope so. I wish him well. Nice kid. Just didn't work out for him. He had a bad start with the Red Sox, ended up back in the minor leagues, and a guy that apparently showed good stuff over in the National League. It just didn't happen for him here with Boston, and he's such a good guy. You hope for the best for him.
Softly grounded towards Pedroia on the run and in time. Able to retire Darren Ford as May takes second with 2 down.
Hey, Ford can get down that line, can he? He can get down there in a hurry, and Dustin Pedroia had to make a very nice play on this. Little tap towards second base. He's got to charge the ball, and Ford showing very good speed down that line. Very close play, but Pedroia just gets him by a half a step.
And the everyday lineup is pretty set for the Pirates. The question marks of the outfield backups, that is really something that's going to be what we watch in spring training. Ford is in that mix as guys that have a possibility. Tabata, who's hitting right now, he is the #1 main guy because he is on a multi-year contract. Really took a big step backwards, though, last year. He's the guy that I think everybody is looking at as being that #4 outfielder. But if he doesn't do something other than what he did last year, then that's going to open up the door for the other guys.
Tabata batting here with 2 outs and Lucas May at second base.
Tabata had gotten a little heavy last year. He got thick. He lost a step, and it really showed in his play. And he lost his job, basically.
Check swing grounder. Lester off the hill quickly. He'll get rid of it. Low, but picked out nicely by Napoli to end the inning. The Pirates lead May at second. We're through 2.5. Red Sox on top 3-0.
Sox lead here from Fort Myers, Florida. Next week, our viewers in Pittsburgh can catch us from the new renovated McKechnie Field. We'll be coming your way on Roots Sports. 6:30 pregame. The left field plaza is a new one. The party deck right there. People can hang out, groups. There's a new agility field that you could view from the ballpark in right field where players go through their drills. There's also a right field boardwalk barbecue. It's a pretty cool thing, pretty cool adjustment that they made right there in the left field. The scoreboard put into the left field wall. There are drink rails throughout the whole entire ballpark. 19,000 square feet of boardwalk. Of course, new concourses have been added. 20 more points of sale, more concessions, less lines. The seating capacity has been increased to by 2,000 to over 8,500. It's a beautiful place. The newly renovated McKechnie Field. You'll be able to watch it. We'll take you through the whole thing 1 week from tonight, Friday, when the Pittsburgh Pirates take on the Baltimore Orioles in Bradenton, guys.
All right, Robbie, that looks pretty nice. Always McKechnie Field, a great place to visit during the spring for us, but it looks even better now.
A nice tiki bar out there in the outfield. I haven't been able to visit yet.
I mean, I tell you, I used to hate to go to that place. It was terrible.
Oh, it was.
And they've really made a lot of improvements. And every time I'd go there, I'd have to face Candelaria, which drove me crazy.
Yeah, you just can't recognize the ballpark anymore. It's
beautiful now,
phenomenal. And thinking back to 30 years ago, it was anything but phenomenal. But everywhere in spring training has changed. All the ballparks, all around Florida, they're all gorgeous now. All the old ones have been torn down or rejuvenated.
You were talking about, was it Cocoa Beach was absolutely your least favorite? Was that the one?
Cocoa was just awful. Houston Astros were over there. J.R. Richards to be pitching. You had no chance. And then the infield was so bad that you would not take ground balls before the game.
Alvarez on the run, low throw, and Jones can't dig it out. Pedroia's aboard.
Yeah, I can remember that was probably the biggest gripe of spring training. Was always the infielders always complained about the spring training services, no matter where you went, because they just weren't big league quality. Wasn't what they were used to, especially the National League guys, because back then, most of our games were on AstroTurf. There were no bad hops.
Right. Now, I remember going to Cocoa Beach, and it was pass for all the infielders. There were no ground balls before the game. We didn't take infield practice. Nobody wanted to get out there. The hops were so bad.
No base hit rule for Pedroia is on here to begin things in the third inning. And here's Shane Victorino. Walked and scored as part of the 3-run first inning for the Red Sox.
A few days ago, we were over at the Twins ballpark. Was it Lee County Stadium?
Hammond Stadium over there?
Just over on the other side of the freeway. And they said that they were going to put $48 million into that ballpark here soon. So they're $48 million for a spring training facility. That sounds like they're starting over from scratch. But that's not uncommon nowadays.
No,
everybody's doing stuff like that.
It's a big draw. A lot of people coming down from up north to watch their ball clubs, enjoy some good weather, and see some real nice ballparks now.
And Pedroia at first base here. Nobody out in the inning, and Victorino waiting on a 1-0.
Boy, how nice it must be to play in the Florida State League, huh?
Yeah, great ballparks. Yeah, probably better than a lot of AA places.
Yeah. Better than a lot of AAA places, maybe. Some of these ballparks.
Well, John Lester tonight going the first 3 innings for the Red Sox, and we will hear from John Lester here in a moment as this grounder is towards short. Barmas will touch second, fire to first, and a nice pick this time by Jones. 2 outs in the inning as Jenny Dell standing by with John Lester.
Yes, I am here with John Lester. Second start of the spring. I spoke with your pitching coach earlier. He said the main things he was focusing on are keeping the ball down in the zone and keeping a rhythm and tempo going. How do you feel it went for you?
It went pretty good. Obviously, having good results always kind of reinforce the things that you're working on. So it was good tonight. Felt good. Was able to repeat getting that ball down in the zone, and threw a couple breaking balls, a couple change-ups. So it was, it was a good night to get some work in, and like I said, just really focus on those 2 things that you mentioned earlier.
John Farrell, the manager, you obviously had a relationship with him before. What does his presence do to everyone in the clubhouse?
I think it just kind of relaxes everybody. Just especially the guys that already know him from years past. They know how he's going to operate. They know the system he's going to run, and it makes our job easier to go out and just play baseball and worry about performing on the field.
Thank you very much, Sean. Back to you guys.
All right, Jenny, thank you very much. Very successful outing here for John Lester, and really back-to-back now. His first two during the spring have been very good. No two-pitch coming, and Napoli will take it for ball one.
Do you guys notice a difference around the club? He talked about the relaxed atmosphere. That's true then.
I think, Jerry, you'd agree.
Oh, absolutely. Farrell is someone that the veterans on this club who were here a couple of years ago are used to and know. And no matter who came in here last year, it was going to be a difficult change. And we'll talk more about it later.
3-0, Sox on top. Top half of the fourth inning back at JetBlue Park in Fort Myers. 3-0. Red Sox have the lead, and after 3 shutout innings from John Lester tonight, Ruby De La Rosa comes into the game for Boston. Look at his numbers last year in the minors, and Jerry, he was one of the guys that you highlighted off the top tonight. He can flirt with 100 miles an hour at times.
I was talking to John Farrell about him the other day. He said, "Have you seen De La Rosa pitch yet?" I said, "No." I said, "You know, he came over in that deal last year with the Dodgers, and he said, man, he was throwing 100 miles an hour with a nasty changeup. So I imagine he's also got either a curveball or a slider. We'll see very quickly."
He will deal with Garrett Jones to lead it off here for the Pirates in the top half of the fourth inning. Jerry started to talk about what has really become kind of a culture change for the Red Sox from last season to this season as far as the clubhouse goes, and just kind of the feeling here in the early going.
Well, you know, I'm not one that's going to put last year's problems on Bobby Valentine.
No,
I'm not going to do
not
it
at all.
I think that anybody that stepped into that job last year was going to have a difficult spot after Tito being here for so long. And I think, you know, it was a major adjustment, a major change for all the players. Bobby has his ways. It didn't get along with some guys. You know, they didn't like the way he handled things. But I'm not going to put the problems of last year strictly on his back. That would be not right to do.
Yeah. And unfair.
Unfair. And I think it would be, you know, I think this year, you know, coming in with Farrell, they know him. You know, and the veteran players can go to the young guys and talk to him about him. So there's this, you know, more of a comfort level, I think, than there was a year ago.
And the guys that they brought in, certainly good character guys, Johnny Gomes and Shane Victorino and some other guys who have been there and have some experience bringing kind of a new look to the Red Sox this season. But the core guys are back. And I think the thing I'm looking forward to most, Bob, is looking at how John Farrell works with the pitchers. And I know that he's now worried about 25 guys now, but in the past did so well with Lester and Buchholz and some of the guys who are going to be important if the Red Sox are going to go anywhere this season, as Jones grounds out to short.
Well, I think what, you know, just from an outsider looking at the Red Sox occasionally, there was so much going on, and I don't know how much was true or not between the players and the manager, and it seemed like that was like overshadowing everything on the field last year.
Yeah.
From viewing it from Pittsburgh, and now that's not there, and so I think there's a little bit of a challenge now for the players to say, okay, you kind of got your way. Your guy's the man now. Now go out and prove it on the field. And I think that goes back to what you were talking about, Jerry, earlier on, that your expectations are a little higher maybe than a lot of other people's, because you think that that's going to happen, that this is still a pretty good team, and last year was more of a fluke.
Exactly. I really do. And one thing as we take a look at the breaking ball here from De La Rosa, that might have been the changeup right there.
It looked like a screwball almost, didn't it?
Yeah, he turned it over a little bit. He's got them all. He's got all kind of pitches we didn't know about.
There's that good fastball upstairs a little. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but talking about the expectations, they should not be all that low, I guess, for the Sox.
I don't believe so.
Steven Drew with a rangy play behind the bag, throws out Alvarez, 2 down.
Here's a guy I want to ask you about, Bob Drew. You've seen him in the National League. We know very little about him. We know his brother J.D., who was here for years with the Red Sox. But Steven Drew, even though he's been injured for the last couple of years, what can we expect from him?
Well, I think there's a little bit of a question mark there. When I first saw him as a young shortstop, I thought he was going to be a stalwart in Arizona. I mean, their problems at short are done, but for whatever reason, some injuries and stuff, it didn't work out for him there. But I would assume that all of that talent is still there, and that he could be a very strong player for you guys. There's no reason why, if he's healthy, that he shouldn't be.
Seems he's got a little bit of pop too.
Oh yeah, and I would imagine that green wall is going to see a few of his balls go over the top.
Well, Steven Drew, the ankle troubles that really set him back. Time with Arizona, finished the year with the Oakland A's, and in the postseason with the A's, and what a terrific run they had last year.
The ballpark in Arizona is, dimension-wise, it doesn't necessarily look like it, but it is very hitter-friendly. Ball just jumps there. So you do have to take, I think, some of those hitting numbers with a grain of salt sometimes when a Diamondback player goes somewhere else. That you might not get the offense that the player was showing, especially home run balls, because it just flies out of that ballpark.
Kind of like a guy coming from Colorado.
Yes, kind of a similar type thing.
Yeah.
And I guess in the American League, Texas, in the few times we've been to Arlington, maybe it's just the Rangers or whatever, but they seem to hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah, they do.
The ball seems to jump out of that place.
1-2 is driven inside at 94 miles an hour, missing in tight, 2-2.
But there are those types of ballparks. And the other side of the coin too, San Diego. You get a pitcher from the Padres, that place is pitcher's heaven.
Yeah. What about your ballpark?
I'd say it's fair. Maybe leans a little bit toward a pitcher's park, but I think it's about as close to down the middle as you're going to get. They did a nice job with the ballpark. The ball, it carries pretty good from like right center to the right field foul line. Left center it's deep, and the ball doesn't seem to carry all that well over there. But to right field, the ball will go pretty easy.
We were there a couple of years ago. It is an absolute beautiful ballpark and a beautiful setting in Pittsburgh.
It is gorgeous as you see the ball take a bite out of Neal's ankle.
Walker walked in the second inning, getting his second at bat of the night, and it is a beautiful venue there and a great look into downtown Pittsburgh, especially from where we are up top. On the ground, big hops to first base. Napoli will flip to De La Rosa, covers, and that'll end the top of the fourth inning. We're through 3.5 from JetBlue Park. Red Sox on top 3-0. Last half of the fourth inning back at JetBlue Park in Fort Myers, Fenway South, with the Red Sox on top of the Pirates 3-0. And new pitcher on for the Pirates, Phil Irwin, into the game. Look at his numbers from last season in the minor leagues.
He probably a long shot to maybe make that bullpen. There's not a lot of spots really down there. It's one of those situations that depends on how healthy is the team going to be, the pitching staff, and that's going to be how many empty spots there are. Right now, you're talking about looking at maybe 2 new guys in that bullpen at most. So we'll just have to see, does everybody get through the month of March with a healthy arm? If there are some guys get nicked up, then you know, guys like Irwin then have a better shot at it. But right now, there's not a lot of open spots anywhere on this team. So kind of a tough spring for the guys on the bubble, the edge guys.
Actually, the Red Sox are in the same kind of position, which is unusual when you come off 69 wins. There really are not a lot of jobs available on the major league team.
Now, Phil Irwin last year spending time at 3 different classifications, Bradenton, Altoona, and Indianapolis, as part of his minor league career last season. Stephen Drew leads it off and takes a look at strike 1. Drew doubled in the first inning to drive in a run, and it's part of a 3-run first for the Red Sox, all off Jeff Locke to begin the game. And he would settle down and really make quick work of the Red Sox at the end of the first and the second and third innings.
Well, that's, you know, what he needs to do. He needs to be aggressive and throw strikes, move the ball around. That first inning is not him. He got in trouble with the walks, falling behind the hitters. Irwin, 26 years old. At that point, age-wise, it's time you need to make a move.
1-2 to Drew, and it's grounded foul. We'll do it again. I mentioned back in the first inning, Stephen Drew with a double. And the Red Sox scoring a run, part of their 3-run attack. Shane Victorino would score as Drew cruised into second base. Drew to be followed by Nava and Lavarnway here in the bottom of the fourth.
That was a pretty good replay you just did there, Don, considering you weren't doing the game at that time.
No.
Hey, you just watched from the bullpen and you know what was going on.
I was paying attention. I was paying attention.
That's very good.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I had my scorecard going. It wasn't like I wasn't, you know, here.
Yeah.
I'm glad somebody's got a scorecard.
Yeah. Walker to his right. He'll throw out Drew. And there's one out. Scorecard's probably overrated.
I always like to keep a clean table in front of me.
Yeah, I noticed that. Space.
I bring reading glasses, but I'm not sure why. And I got a pen.
What's for? What is that for?
I don't know. I haven't used it yet today. That's for sure. Well, you notice, it's like it's a official Pittsburgh Pirate pen.
It's a nice pen. Yeah. That's nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know
like
when you might need it.
Yeah, you know, you just write something down every now and then.
But I do like how clean you keep your workspace.
Yeah, that's room
nice.
for a cup of coffee. That's all I need.
Jerry's not quite as neat. He's got a bunch of stuff over there. He's got his own cards. He's got.
You never understand the way I keep score, though. I have my own system. It just I can't keep real score.
During the regular season, I've gotten to where I've got the laptop computer there all the time, and it's got all the information you could possibly think of, and I've got to where I rely on that. And so probably about 5-6 years ago, I kind of threw the scorecard away for the first time and haven't gone back. Now, for a play-by-play guy, you definitely better have that scorecard there. Yeah. That is a must.
Especially if you're not doing the first 3 innings.
Yeah.
It's very important. Plus, the color coordination is very important, too. I don't know. I got the pitching in the red.
Yeah,
Jerry just keeps his. I don't know what's going on with Jerry's exactly.
No. You know, I've seen guys keep a different color ink for every pitcher.
Wow. Well, that's taking it to another level.
Yeah, that's a nut.
So you can look on your scorecard. You say, okay, green, and then you look up and you can see who was in green, and you know that was him.
Well, when do we get deeper in this ball game? We'll be using all kind of colors.
I won't name the guy that does that.
2-2 pitches outside, 3-2. Now, what's going to really come in handy when I come back for the 8th and 9th innings is you telling me who's in the game for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Because is this the guy who uses the multi-color? Is this Greg Brown?
The pitcher must be in red right now. You get the red pin going.
Oh, in the air to left. Felix P.A. is out there, and he makes the catch 2 down. So this is who Jerry called a nut a couple of minutes ago.
We call him worse than that, believe me. Call him worse than that.
Oh, wow. Jerry, do you even know him? No?
No.
Greg? You don't know Greg?
No. Now,
you want a nut? That guy right there, Steve Blass. That's the resident nut right there.
You were telling us before the game that he actually did a game in St. Louis without a shirt on.
Oh, yeah. It was 110 degrees. He was on radio that day, so I have to, he wasn't on camera, but I looked over at him about this time of the game, and there he was, no shirt on. Had like a wet towel over his head. Fan blowing on him. St. Louis is probably the hottest place we play year after year.
Ford on the run to right center, but it'll be Tabata who's out there to make the catch to end the inning. We played 4 from Fenway South. It's 3-0 Boston. We head to the top half of the 5th inning, 3-0. Red Sox have the lead over the Pirates. And some defensive changes as we move along here at first base. Now for the Red Sox, Mike Carpu came over from the Seattle Mariners and takes over for Mike Napoli at first base. As the only change so far for the Red Sox as Ruby De La Rosa back on the mound here for Boston as we head into the 5th inning. One of the guys vying for a spot at first is Mike Carp. Red Sox also have Daniel Nava. Of course, the guy that started tonight, Mike Napoli, who gets his first start in a Red Sox uniform out of the way. Here's a veteran, Brandon Inge, and while we were talking about him in between innings, is this a guy that could find his way on the roster for the Pirates this year?
I definitely think so. I believe that Clint Hurdle would like to have an older bench than he had last year, especially going down the end of the season. You don't like to point fingers. As I said earlier, our collapse was everybody. It was a team effort. But one of the problems was that you did have a younger, inexperienced bench. And when you're going down September and you got a 2-game lead on making the playoffs, and there's 2 weeks left, and the tying runs at second base, and you got to have somebody come up there and pinch hit. You don't want somebody that this is their first year in the big leagues, or somebody that just got called up a month ago, something like, and you want somebody like an Inge that has been around the block a few times.
And strikes out.
Is not going to react in a negative way to any type of pressure. Not going to put pressure on himself. So I think that he does. If he can show that he can handle the job as a bench player, I think he's got a good shot at making it. I know that Hurdle would love to have some older guys on that bench.
I'll tell you one thing, De La Rosa's looked pretty impressive so far out in this outing. That was a good breaking ball, a good slider right there, and it'd be hard to tell right now this is a guy coming off Tommy John surgery.
Felix Pie takes a hack and fouls it off.
Makes you better nowadays, I think. That
makes you stronger, doesn't it?
You should have it early in your career.
Yeah, get it over with.
Yeah.
Like as soon as they draft you, they should send you straight to Alabama.
Get it done. Yeah. Felix Pie batting for the second time tonight. Reached on a fielder's choice in the second.
The other day we mentioned that somebody came in and coming off Tommy John. I said, well, who isn't coming off Tommy John surgery? It's just, it's become such a routine thing nowadays.
It's amazing how quickly guys are coming back now.
It's like having your wisdom teeth pulled or something. It's just you just do it. Nothing to be afraid of anymore for a pitcher. I think that if they say it has to be done, then you bite the bullet and you go for it.
Well, years ago it was the end of your career, really.
Yeah. You had the, if somebody would say to me that that's what I should do, I would have to have 3 or 4 opinions, and I wouldn't be sure. I'd say, well, let's rest it for a while. But I don't think that's the case nowadays. No. I think you just, if they say that'll make you better, you just go and you have it done, because there's so many examples everywhere where guys come back, and we were just kind of joking around about it, but some guys do come back better.
In the air, well to left center field. Ellsbury on the run, will not get it. Back on the track and off the wall. Nava runs it down, but not before PA is into second base with a one-out double.
Yeah, I think that PA has really shown some great athleticism, and I don't think a guy that's been in the big leagues for as long as he has really opens up people's eyes, because you know what he can do. He's the video and all that stuff is there nowadays, but he's made some good plays on defense. He runs extremely well, and he's showed he's got some pop in that bat. He's in the running. Talk about having somebody that's more of a veteran as a backup player. He certainly fits into that mold.
One out runner at second base. Clint Barmas, the batter. Pirates trying to get on the board for the first time tonight.
I can remember when PA came up as a young man with the Cubs. I mean, they thought that he was going to be the superstar, the center fielder of the future. It just hasn't turned out like that for him, but that doesn't mean he's still not a quality big league player. I mean, everybody can't be a star. You got to have guys that fill roles.
You were talking about the outfield situation as part of your open tonight, and how it could break down, and certainly PA, one of those guys. We've seen him with the Orioles in the past, and was a regular player with the O's. And there's a pitch in there for a strike. That's the first hit that De La Rosa has surrendered since coming into this game. He had retired the first 4 Pirates that he faced prior to the double.
Only the Bucks' second hit of the night.
A single for Lucas May in the third, and then the double by PA.
Last couple of change-ups that De La Rosa has thrown have stayed up in the zone. The one that was hit by PA for the double, the last one stayed upstairs, up and in. That's not where he wants it.
Spins Barmas out of the box. 2-2. Bob, you mentioned Clint Hurdle. He signs an extension. Was that a surprise or sort of anticipated?
No, not at all. I think that, looking where the team was at when he took over and where they're at now after these first 2 years, not a surprise at all that he got an extension. And we had lost, I think, 99. Well, we had lost either 100 games or more 3 years in a row, and the 2 years prior to that, really, for the last 5 years, we had really struggled before he got here. And then immediately he made a big impact this first year, and then last year, going into September, we're playing for a playoff spot. I mean, and for a long time, it looked like we were definitely going to be in the playoffs. So he's done a great job.
Siriaco down from third and foul ground to make the catch. A little stagger step, but makes the catch for the second out of the inning. And here's a look at that outfield battle.
Well, Starling Marte and Travis Snyder have the corner spots. Something crazy will have to happen for those guys not to be out there. And I think you're talking about Sands. We haven't even mentioned him yet. I haven't. Presley, Tabata, Ford, PA. They're all looking for backup type situations. Snyder is maybe kind of penciled in out in right field, but Marte, the Pirates feel that he is going to be the next McCutchen type player. I mean, he has absolutely as high a ceiling as anybody we've had come up in a long time. He can run like McCutchen, has an absolute cannon for an arm. Tremendous defensive player, has good pop, good power. Led I think the Dominican Winter League this last year in hitting. So I mean, he can hit for an average. Hopefully he is going to be a great player for us. So Marte is I mean, he's the real deal out there. He was the MVP of the Dominican League playoffs this winter, matter of fact. So we have high expectations for Starling Marte.
The Pirates batting here with 2 outs. Felix PA at second base, and Lucas May, who singled to left field in the 3rd inning, batting for the 2nd time tonight. It's just outside, 2-2. That'll just miss, and a full count. So it always seems like there's one guy that kind of sticks out during spring that surprises some people, some you haven't seen before, and this guy may be that guy for the Red Sox so far early in the spring.
Yeah, the Red Sox certainly hoping so, because as we mentioned, he was involved in that big trade with the Dodgers, and really kind of a bit of a gamble for the Red Sox because of the surgery, but he's got some good stuff.
Swing and a miss. Finishes off nicely as he gets Lucas May. 2 Ks for De La Rosa. 3-0 Red Sox lead.
Red Sox still lead 3-0 here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. I'm Robbie Smikowski. Going to tell you about Jamison Tyone yesterday. Made his first start ever in big league camp. He pitched 2 innings. He struck out 3, gave up just 1 unearned run, and he had a pretty good outing. Now, One thing he said he needs to gain between now and then whenever he may make it to the big leagues is experience, and he's going to get some of that. Is on Sunday he's headed out to Arizona to play for Team Canada in the World Baseball Classic. And guys, you might wonder, if you look up his bio, born in Florida, moved to Texas, and you look at Jameson Taillon, his parents are Canadian. Both his parents are Canadian citizens. They were born and raised there. He's a dual citizen. That's why he's playing for Team Canada. And Clint Hurdle wants him to get some big league experience. He's played just 3 games above single-A all last season. So it's going to be a good thing, and it's a good future for Pirates fans with young Jameson Taillon, guys.
Thanks very much, Robbie.
I thought he looked good yesterday. The only Pirate pitcher we had yesterday go out, and especially his first inning, wasn't afraid of the bats. That's always something I like to see out of the young guys.
Bloop to left at PA with good speed, coming hard from left to make the grab.
It's awfully tough to pitch at this level if you're afraid of the bat. You're always trying to miss it. That's not going to work that way.
Yeah, I think as time goes on, pitchers realize that sometimes contact's not a bad thing. You get some ground ball outs,
yeah.
save some pitches, and get deep in the ball games.
And very seldom does it really the situation call for you to throw a pitch and have a swing and miss. You want the ball put in play. You just want to try and take some of the sting out of the bat's all. Because that's how you get outs. They put the ball in play.
One out for Pedro Siriaco. We're talking about the World Baseball Classic. What are your thoughts on the World Baseball Classic and where it is positioned in spring training?
Well, that's my my problem with it. I like the idea of it. I don't know how you feel about it, Jerry, if you like it or not, but I think it's not. I like watching the ball games. I think it's kind of a neat deal with the nations going at each other. But I hate the fact that it's in spring training. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, but very dangerous for players, especially pitchers. You know, they come down here and they'll work a couple of innings in a game, then all of a sudden go to the Classic and maybe throw 75 pitches in a game, which they're not ready to do.
This one is squibbed to second and thrown away. Off the facade of the Pirates dugout, and reaching at first base, Siriaco. That had all kinds of spin on it as it went by the mound.
Yeah, I would think that that's going to go as a base hit for Siriaco, because you're right, Don. This had all kind of spin going out towards second base. And look how far Walker's got to go to try to get that barehanded and throw at the same time. And with Siriaco's speed, you're not going to be able to make that play. So we'll see how they score it, but I think it should be a base hit.
It is a base hit. And the first of the night for Siriaco, especially on the pitching side. You think about the World Baseball Classic. I mean, so many pitchers have been injured coming out of that situation, having to really heat it up earlier than they normally would.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the time of the year. That's it. I just don't like that. And I know everybody says, well, when can you have it? And well, if you're really serious about this and you want to do it right, then you're going to have to take like a 10-day break in the middle of the season, not have an all-star game that year, and have your tournament then. Because now guys are in the season. They're the time they're least likely to get injured. The pitchers aren't really all that stressed at that point, and you can really have that true tournament. It's going to have to maybe be cut down a little bit. I don't know what exactly you would have to do as far as how many teams could really be in it, and how often you could play how many games every day.
Runner goes, pitches high, and the throw is going to be late. Stolen base from the former Pirate.
But I think that's my thought is you would have to do away with the All-Star game and take some kind of a break in the middle of the year. Well, Siriaco, as you can see in the replay, even took time to look over his shoulder.
Yeah, he picked a good pitch. He got the breaking ball right there, and had a decent jump at first base. Not a great jump, but certainly got the help of the breaking ball to steal second base.
Last year, I'm just off the top of my head thinking we threw out about 5 or 6% of the runners. It was that bad.
Wow.
I don't know how far off I am at that guess, but I know it was a big problem that needs to be addressed, and they've been doing some different things this year to try and do that already in spring training. Not that every team doesn't work on that sort of thing in spring training. That's what spring training is for, but it's become much more of a problem. 11%, I guess it was. We threw out a few more than I thought we did. I think we maybe got a little bit better there toward the end of the season. But the big key, I think, is that the pitchers just have to do a better job getting the ball to the catcher. It can't be taken all day. If you want to prevent steals, that really is the only answer. If you can get quick to the plate, they're not going to run. Maybe the elite guys will still take a bag on you every now and then, but for the most part, that's the way you're going to stop it.
Now, the problem sometimes is that the guys go into a slide step, and when they go into a slide step, they lose some of their stuff. And you kind of get two thoughts about that. Guys, there are pitching coaches that like it, and there's others that don't, because they'd rather not have their guys come out of their regular motion and take something off their fastball because they've gone through the slide steps. So.
And that's kind of where the not the argument, but the discussion always is it more important to kind of ignore that runner and concentrate on the hitter, or do you want, what's worse, the stolen base or the double in the gap?
Exactly.
So I guess it really depends on the individual pitcher. Can that pitcher be quick to the plate and not take anything away from his pitches? Some guys can do that, and they're the ones that have to be identified, and they have to come up with that slide step. Some guys can't do it. It's going to affect their pitches, and that's job one, is to get the hitter out. So if it's going to affect their pitches, you're going to have to just live with the stolen bases.
Well, tonight for Jacoby Ellsbury after the walk, Justin Henry will run for him at first base and likely take over for him in the outfield. And Pedroia takes a hack and fouls it back to the screen.
Getting back to that World Baseball Classic, I kind of agree with you. It's so difficult, though, with the schedule that we have right now. It's so long as it is, and the World Series goes, deep into October and sometimes even November, that it's hard to play a series in the middle of the season that long, and the travel that's just involved with it.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I like the concept, but it needs to be done, I think, in a different way somehow.
And to your point, Bob, if they did it in the middle of the season, I think you'd get better players to go too.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Well, Brooks Brown up in the pen now for Pittsburgh with one out here in the fifth inning. Red Sox have 2 on, and Dustin Pedroia at the plate. He is down 0-2. Phil Irwin into his second inning of relief.
From what?
This will get away, and everybody's going to move up.
Is that going to go as a pass ball, perhaps? I don't know if that hit the ground.
That was a cross-up, that's for sure.
Oh, yep, there he goes.
I mean,
he's out there telling him right now.
He was expecting something other than what he got. There's no question about that. Watch him right there. He's completely fooled. And that's going to put a couple of men in a scoring position for Boston. But looked like he was expecting some kind of breaking ball.
Yeah, he was getting ready to go to his knees.
Yeah.
And the ball did not break.
Certainly not his fault in the cross-up, but he is charged with a pass ball.
I've had one catcher in particular come out to me after a situation like that, and I said, no, it wasn't me. And he goes, I know it was me, but me coming out here, everybody thinks it was you now.
Well, Pedroia's been on twice tonight. A walk, scored a run in the first, and singled in the infield in the third.
Let's go back to the World Baseball Classic again, since that's such going to be something we talk about a lot, I guess, this spring. Jared, do you think watching those games, and then I think this, well, we'll have to wait. This ball is
in the right center. It will score Siriaco and Henry all the way from second. 2 more runs for the Red Sox, who take a 5-0 lead. Justin Pedroia on base for the third time and drives in a pair.
It seems to me, watching those World Baseball Classic games, as we see the base hit a little down and in sinker maybe. Pedroia was able to go down after and left to the outfield. I compare him to the All-Star game, and I think the guys play a lot harder in these World Baseball Classic games than they do in the All-Star game. They're both exhibition games of some sort, but I don't know, it's like there's more pride on the line or something, where in the All-Star games are just kind of like, okay, let's get through this game, and it's more of like a fun party atmosphere.
Yeah,
where there's some seriousness, especially for some of the other countries. Like, obviously, Japan takes it very seriously. They've won the first two.
Yeah, I think that there's tremendous competition between the countries that are playing, and there's no question about that. And I agree with the All-Star game. I think, to make it count for home field advantage, I mean, to me, I've never agreed with that, because anybody that's ever been in an All-Star game knows that that's not the way the game is played. It's an exhibition.
All right, it really is kind of a party-type atmosphere for the players. I mean, it's fun to think that it counts, but it doesn't, and I agree with you that it shouldn't mean anything as far as home field advantage. That makes no sense.
Especially when you play so many interleague games during the course of the year that you could use the win-loss records from.
I brought up the fact last year, and it was just kind of jokingly, but we were talking about teams tying for the playoffs for the what do you call it, the wild card deal?
Yes.
And I said, what should be what's the tiebreaker? And I said, well, how about spring training records? and everybody laughed. Like, you guys are like, oh, spring training records, come on. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You have an exhibition game deciding the World Series, who gets home field. So what's wrong with spring training records? Because I guarantee you the guys are playing harder in spring training than they are in that All-Star game. So I mean, it's not as if one's silly, then the other one should be silly also.
This will turn into 2 and wrap up the inning. The Red Sox add a pair. We've played 5, and it is 5-0 Boston. Tim Neverett will be with you when we come back.
Top of the 6th inning, JetBlue Park at Fenway South. 5-0 Red Sox with Jerry Remy and Bob Walker. I'm Tim Neverett. Don will be back later in the ball game. Jenny Dell is on the Boston sideline near the dugout, right in the camera well. I'll be Ince Mikowski over in the Pirates camera well. New arm out there for Boston to start the 6th inning. It is Stephen Wright, who may be one of the last remaining knuckleballers other than R.A. Dickey of Toronto.
Well, they had Tim Wakefield up watching Wright pitch in his first outing against Toronto. And I was talking to Wakefield about him, and he said that he throws his knuckleball a lot harder than Tim did. Tim was in the 60s with it. He says Wright's in the 70s with his knuckleball, but basically doesn't have another pitch right now. You know, he fooled around with a curveball. He kind of dropped that. And basically a knuckleball guy right now with a pretty hard knuckleball. So we'll get a chance to see it here tonight.
That's kind of like R.A. Dickey. He has a very hard knuckleball also.
Yes. And he's in the American League now with Toronto.
Yeah, you guys are going to have to deal with him. We are happy that we don't.
Well, top of the order up for the Pirates. Darren Ford 0 for 2 tonight. Ford trying to bunt his way on at first. Hits the knuckleball in the air to right field. After it, Juan Carlos Linares, the new right fielder. He'll make the catch. Jenny Dell is by the Boston dugout.
I spoke with Mike Napoli briefly after he just left the game, and he said it just felt so good to finally be out there in a Red Sox uniform. He joked around and laughed, and he said, I feel like I got everything out of the way in the first 2 innings. He felt very comfortable at first, and then he went on to talk about the team a little bit, saying that, you know what, we just have a lot of fun, and we've all gotten along a lot from day one. Mike Carp now at first base, replaced Napoli last inning, still out there.
And Jose Tabata takes a strike.
Jerry, I got to think that knuckleballer is not who you want to face in spring training as you're getting ready for the year.
Nor during the season. I mean, you know, I used to laugh. We used to face guys like Charlie Huff and, you know, people like that. And it was just, I don't know. How do you practice for it? You can't do it. And you can't get a knuckleball guy out there throwing batting practice. It doesn't matter anyway because you wouldn't want to face it at that point. So he used to try to just wait back as long as possible and try to make some kind of contact. And I'll tell you, that next guy that came in after the knuckleball pitcher looked like he was throwing about 150 miles an hour.
And the new catcher, Christian Vasquez, has the knuckleball catcher's mitt on, the bigger catcher's glove. And Tabata strikes out. 2 down quickly for Wright.
Knuckleball again here from Wright, and you can see that Vasquez set up away. The knuckleball stays inside, but no contact by Tabata, and Wright picks up the second out of the inning.
I've heard some pretty good hitters over the years that would beg out of the lineup. They don't want to. They're afraid that the knuckleball is going to mess them up for about a week.
Put them in a slump for a week.
Yeah, they don't want to face the knuckleballer. That
anybody beg out of the lineup against you?
No, they were fighting at the bat rack.
0-1 pitch, and Garrett Jones rolls it foul up the first base side.
I used to see that all the time when I was a teammate of Nolan Ryan's. Every time you look at a lineup, it was, you know, there'll always be 1 or 2 guys that would never play against him.
Those are your defensive changes so far for the Red Sox.
When Tony Pena was catching for the Pirates.
And Jones hits this one to right center. It's going to get down for a hit. And Jones has his first base hit tonight. He's 1 for 3.
Take a look at the Pirates' third hit of the night. A little knuckleball. It was down and away. Jones somehow figured out how to center it up. But we had a catcher named Junior Ortiz that was his backup, and he was hitting about, you know, $180 or something like that. And I can remember somebody asked him one day about his hitting and why is his numbers so poor, and kind of getting on him a little bit. And he goes, well, let me tell you about the pitchers that I have faced. And he was, you know, Nolan Ryan and, you know, Don Sutton, and they just went through the laundry list of guys, basically all the Cy Young candidates of the year. Right. And I started thinking, well, yeah, that's every time Tony gets a day off, it's somebody with an ERA in the mid-2s, right. And it makes life tough sometimes for a backup catcher, or you know, somebody that backs up another star player at a position, because when are those guys going to get the day off? It's going to be against a tough pitcher. Not easy sometimes being that backup.
1 ball, 1 strike pitch, knuckleball, swing and a miss by Alvarez. 1-2 the count, 2 down, a runner aboard. Red Sox with a 5-0 lead here in the top of the 6th.
And Pedro with a nice job last year with the home run ball, getting over 30, the first time in his young career.
This one fouled off to the left.
He can really hit some tape measure type home runs too. The thing last year that you would like to see him change is the streakiness. He would hit 6 home runs in a week and then hit 1 or 2 the rest of the month. The Pirates would like to see just a little more consistency out of him.
Carp makes the easy play at first base to retire Pedro Alvarez through 5.5 innings in Fort Myers. 5-0 Boston. Heading to the bottom of the sixth. 5 runs on 6 hits for the Red Sox. No runs on 3 hits for the Pirates. Defensive changes. Former member of the Red Sox organization, but on paper in the offseason, Jerry Sands. And Mel Rojas Jr. is the new center fielder for the Pirates. And there is the son of the Red Sox skipper, Jeremy Farrell, taking over at third base for Pedro Alvarez. And Jeff Larish, another guy Red Sox fans are familiar with, at first base. New catcher also, new battery. It's Brooks Brown takes over on the hill. He'll throw to Tony Sanchez. Sanchez out of Boston College. First round pick by the Pirates a few years ago, 4th overall. But Brown last season in Toledo. See his numbers there. He's trying to make this Pirates club.
This is a spot of spring training I call the fog of spring training. Where guys are just coming in, going out, and we just hope that we can get them all in.
Yeah, the second half of these early games are. Excuse me. We talk a lot about how difficult it is sometimes to judge guys' springs on their numbers, because the level of competition can swing so far up and down during the course of a ball game. Toward the end of the game, you might have some guys out there that played last year in A-ball.
Barmes from the hole, long throw, and there's Larish with a nice scoop to retire Carp. 1 down. Nice play by the infield of the Pirates. Barmes starting it off.
A great play by Barmes, and I think a mistake made by Carp is he kind of started to turn like he thought that ball was going in the left field, and the end result is Barmes made a fantastic play going to his right, throwing off balance and getting that ball to first base. And I think that little cutout that the base runner Carp made cost him at first base.
Well, good pick by Larish. Certainly a nice play right into the ball game. You get a ball like that and a good pickup. Another guy who's made a few picks down there, Garrett Jones. He's with Robbie.
Yeah, and Garrett Jones is impressed by Clint Barmes. How'd you like that play he made?
That was nice pick too by Jeff. Great play. He's mid-season form right there.
Yeah, Garrett, now you ripped that knuckleball out there in the right center field. How's camp going so far for you?
Well, that knuckleball's about my bat speed right now. But, no, I mean, it's not too bad. I've hit some balls hard right at some guys. And, just trying to get timing, get the feel for everything, get your legs underneath you. And at the same time, you want to get your confidence up, squaring some balls up. But, I'm feeling pretty good so far, and just want to keep going, stay healthy, and be ready for the season.
What kind of insight can you give the fans when you talk about spring training? It's a chance to grow, a chance to get better. What is that process like in trying to get your bat speed up and get yourself ready for April 1st?
Well, I mean, the pitchers always have a little advantage right now. You just want to seeing that ball, seeing, fastballs, two-seamers, seeing what the ball's doing, and just getting your reaction time up. And, just getting a feel for the game, and I think your body just naturally adjusts the more you play, get out there, and that's what spring training's for.
All right, Garrett, thanks for your time.
All right, no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys.
All right, thanks, Robbie. Garrett G.I. Jones getting set for another season. I don't know if I believe him, though, that his bat speed's only up to knuckleball speed, but...
Now, at least he admits it. I mean, some of us have had knuckleball bat speed our whole career.
I always love, too, how the hitters they're so quick to say, it's spring training, the pitchers are ahead of us.
Now we'll lift this one to left field. PA waits. And a quick inning for Brooks Brown. 1, 2, 3, go the Red Sox. And we're on to the 7th in Fort Myers. Not too much offense for the Pirates tonight. Just 3 hits, no runs. Boston a 5-0 lead heading to the top of the 7th inning. Jeremy Hazelbaker takes over for Daniel Nava in left field for Boston. And Brock Holt at shortstop, former Pirate. Last year had some time with the Buccos. And another guy had a big walk-off home run with the Bucs last year, Drew Sutton. He is vying for that backup third base spot, and it looks like 3 former Pirates battling for that spot. Sutton, Holt, and Pedro Siriaco to back up Will Middlebrooks. And the knuckleballer right remains in there to face Neil Walker, and Walker batting right-handed against the knuckleballer, a switch hitter, and occasionally against the knuckleballer. And the guy he would see would be R.A. Dickey when Dickey was with the Mets. Walker feels a little more comfortable batting from the right side against knuckleballers. Normally in a situation like this, he'd be batting left-handed against a right-hander. And that one is in there for a strike. I guess, Jerry, the way it is for hitters when you face a knuckleballer, see it high, let it fly. See it low, let it go.
Well, that's what they say. You know, if it's a high pitch, you got to take a swing at it. There's a low one that's popped up.
And this one will make the seats.
I always wondered why guys switched around, and you get different answers from different players on why they do it. Now, anytime you play in a ballpark like this where you have a left field wall that is so shallow, kind of makes sense to go up there from the right side of the plate.
Well, the replica of the Green Monster at Fenway Park. This one just a little different, however. The stands or the monster seats are built inside this wall, and it's 3 feet higher than the original. Walker ground ball to second base. And he is thrown out by Diaz.
You see that netting that's in front of the net. Of course, at Fenway Park, that would be part of the wall. But here it's netting. It kind of just deadens the ball as it hits off that. Then you get above that, you get back to that left field wall. That's taller than the one in Boston.
How much higher is that? Because that is a long ways up there. Is it just a couple of feet? Or?
I think somebody said 3 feet.
3 feet? That's a long ways up to the top. They're just so different than anything else you see in baseball.
Really is.
You see that ledge? That's the actual height of the wall in Boston. So
yeah,
that'll give you a chance to measure what you're doing in BP, I guess.
Still plenty of dents at that top part right there.
Inge late on that one. And it's 1-2 to Brandon
Knuckleball
Inge.
is dancing.
That's the second good outing in a row for Wright for the Red Sox.
1-2 pitch. And it's fouled back. Well, you got to wonder how often Stephen Wright has to deal with which Stephen Wright is that from Boston. The other one, the comedian who went to Emerson College. And this Stephen Wright, a knuckleballer.
I wonder why catchers give signs to knuckleballers.
Well,
kind of adds to the length of the game. It's like, okay, knuckleball.
And Inge down on strikes. So Wright gets him.
You know, one of the things I was talking about earlier with Wakefield talking to Wright, he said he wanted him to learn a curveball. He said because Wakefield was very effective with his curveball. A lot of times when that knuckleball would get out of control for him, he'd go to the breaking ball and he'd be able to pick up strikes with it.
Another American League knuckleball, Candiotti.
Yes.
Didn't he throw a curveball along with his knuckleball?
Yes, he did.
I thought so.
Felix Pie will take a strike. And for those who are not as familiar with Bob's work as we are in Pittsburgh, listening to Bob tonight, you're probably realizing what we've learned all along. He is baseball's thinking man. Asks a lot of questions about a lot of stuff during the year.
Oh, you're talking about giving the signs. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'll throw out another thing that I don't understand. Why? Because of the knuckleballers that are successful, they are so successful. Why isn't there more people trying, more pitchers trying to be knuckleball guys.
It always seems to be the guys that don't have success at the minor league level all of a sudden try to pick up the knuckleball. And to me, it's going to be a very difficult pitch to learn and throw.
Comebacker to right, and he will retire PA. Pirates gone in order. It is stretch time in Fort Myers.
Red Sox still leading the Pirates here in Fort Myers as I am joined by Neil Walker, the second baseman for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Neil, exited the game. How'd you feel tonight?
Pretty good. Tommy's starting to come back, and I think that's the most important thing, especially early on in spring training, is kind of getting your shaking the rust off and getting the foot down on time and letting the bat do the work.
Now, there are some battles for positions in the outfield for the Pirates, but the infield seems pretty set. Barmas, yourself, Alvarez, Garrett Jones, Gabby Sanchez at first base. What do you like about the infield and what you bring?
Well, we're very comfortable with each other. We know our, the likes and dislikes of where we like to be. The guy's strengths, and it's, for me personally, it's good to work with Clint. He's a great competitor and somebody that makes me better. And obviously the corners, Pedro is as good as anybody at third base, and whoever's playing first base does a great job. So we're comfortable with each other. We have good communication, but it's just like I said, it's good to get out there today and get back at it.
How about when you look at Jeff Locke tonight? Didn't have the start he wanted, took that ball to the lower leg. How'd you like his performance and the way he bounced back?
Yeah, once he got through the first inning, a little rough first inning there with a couple walks, but spotted the ball up real well after that. Threw some good pitches, good breaking balls, a couple of really good changeups, and he's a guy that's fighting for that fifth spot. So we need it's good to see him get comfortable.
Neil, last couple days been a little bit tough for you personally. Your grandfather had surgery, and I know you want to give him some best wishes, right?
Yeah, thinking of you, Pap, and we're all praying for you down here in Florida, and hopefully you're watching.
92 years old, going strong, guys. Grandfather Walker. Now we see where this guy gets it from.
Seventh inning, and a 5-0 Red Sox lead. And some changes to tell you about for the Pirates as we get later on in the ball game. We will fill you in on some of the guys who are taking over at certain positions. First, Stolme Pimentel, who came over from the Red Sox as part of the Joel Hanrahan deal, and pitched in Portland last year and trying to impress the Pirates. His first pitch to Vasquez, the catcher, is in for a strike. Pimentel signed with the Red Sox as a 16-year-old free agent out of San Cristobal in the Dominican Republic. Came up through the Red Sox system and now is with the Pirates. Well, right-hander Pimentel facing Vasquez. And a ground ball towards short. Anderson Hernandez, the new shortstop, will throw him out. And there is one gone quickly in the Red Sox half of the seventh inning. Again, we take a look at the deal that brought Joel Hanrahan to Boston and away from Pittsburgh. Brock Holt in the deal as well. Mark Melancon, Pimentel, Ivan De Jesus Jr., and Jerry Sands, the return. And Sands, a member of the Red Sox organization in the offseason. He was there for just a little while, but never participated in any type of workout or game, certainly. And Pimentel hits Gomez. And a runner aboard for Boston in the bottom of the 7th.
Yeah, he wasn't getting out of the way of that one. Huh?
And nowhere to go on this pitch. Gomez is going to just turn his back to it and take it off the 5 on his back. Drop the bat and make your way down to first base.
Probably stung a little bit, but he didn't show it.
Big guy, big strong guy, gets some power.
Gomez coming into the designated hitters slot in the lineup for Hamilton. And now Drew Sutton, who came in at third base, had played outfield for the Pirates last year. Sutton's been around a little bit.
Did a good job for the Pirates last year. Limited time.
Left field, and there is Andrew Lambeau there with the catch. And Lambeau came up with the Dodgers as part of a trade involving James McDonald a couple of seasons ago.
Nice catch on a sinking line drive. I thought he was going to have the glove the other way. Palm up. Instead, it's palm down, and still able to make the catch on that sinking line drive, slicing away from him.
It's got to be different for a young guy having that giant wall so close behind him. I know he's never been anywhere where he's had to play a left field like that.
Well, the one thing you know when you have that wall behind you, anything over your head is going to be just about a double. And unless it's a line shot that goes off the wall.
Play that carom a little bit.
Play that carom. But, you know, you see a lot of different styles out there of where guys play, shallow or deep. Now, he's playing pretty shallow out there as Lambeau. And I've always preferred a shallow left fielder with that wall behind him.
Take away the singles.
Take away the base hits.
If it's over your head, you're not going to get it in. It's
probably going to be 2 anyway. Of course, it got a little ridiculous when Manny Ramirez was playing here because sometimes Manny would creep behind the shortstop about 10 feet.
Oh, I saw him creep behind the door one time.
Oh, many times, yeah.
He was so close one game he cut the ball off.
Yeah.
He thought he was a relay man. 2 outs, 1-1 the count. Man aboard. Pimentel's pitch. Swing and a miss.
It's been a legendary position with the Red Sox with
left
some
field.
of the guys they've had out there.
Ted Williams, Kyle Yastrzemski, Jim Rice. Beat goes on and on. Manny Ramirez, of course.
Well, 1 ball, 2 strike pitch coming to Justin Henry. And he pounds this one foul.
A guy like Ramirez, I mean, I guess there was a lot of different things you had to deal with him around all the time, but he really truly was an unbelievable hitter, though, I guess.
You know, I think one thing that people didn't understand about Manny Ramirez is the fact that he really worked hard in his hitting. I mean, he was a great hitter, just a natural hitter, but worked hard at it. But you know, you had to put up with everything else with him.
Strike 3 call. Pimentel strikes out Justin Henry to end the 7th. Don Orsillo's back to take you through 8 and 9. 5-0 Boston.
Welcome back to JetBlue Park. You're taking a look at the JetBlue Park scoreboard here, much like the one at Fenway Park, but here at JetBlue it's a little bit different. There are 3 interns that are actually running that scoreboard. At Fenway, there's a man that's standing behind the scoreboard that's slipping through the numbers. Here it's a little different. They have to go out after each time someone scores. If it's the Red Sox in the bottom, they can run out and switch in that number. If it's the opposing team, they have to carry out a ladder. Yes, they carry out a ladder and run up there and climb to change the numbers each time. Their challenge is to know what is going on with the score, because as you can see there, they only have a little small window they can look through. And the key, guys, well, the key is speed here.
Well, they're doing a great job. We can tell you that much.
Got to be quick with that ladder, I guess. Better be aluminum or something light.
In and out in between innings as we head here into the 8th. And back on the mound is Stephen Wright again here for the Red Sox, second inning of relief.
The Pirates have been able to do nothing with it. Knuckleball.
That's been a good night for Red Sox pitching, that's for sure. Lester, De La Rosa, and Wright so far in this game.
Hernandez, who took over at shortstop, takes the pitch outside for ball 4, and he'll head down to first base.
It's been pretty much, all Red Sox tonight. A lot of things to be happy about if you're a Red Sox fan, but I guess the best thing of the night would be Lester going out there and just doing a great job to start the game, keeping the ball down, getting easy outs, because he really is a huge key for you guys.
No, I would agree. The 2 things from a Red Sox point of view in this game tonight is, number 1, John Lester, the work that he did. And I think number 2, getting Mike Napoli back on the field for the first time. And he had a couple of plays at first base, had the base hit. So, a good start for him just to get back on the field.
Let's check in with Robbie Insikowski.
Well, guys, it was a very upsetting offseason for Tony Sanchez as he lost his best friend and roommate to a trade. That is Brock Holt, the man playing shortstop right now. And Tony Sanchez yesterday sent this tweet out saying, brutal seeing Brock Holt in the batter's box while I'm behind the dish as those two face one another a couple days ago. And he sent out also a photo of Holt batting with him behind the plate. So tough times, but obviously they know business is business here in baseball. But still, those guys are very close.
Well, now the tables are turned as Holt looks in and Sanchez bats here.
Something young guys get used to, right, Jerry?
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, you lose your buddies. Happens all the time.
It's funny, too, when you get out of the game, all the relationships you had in the game with players that and they seem to disappear. They just guys go in the different directions, and they're just a handful of people you really keep in contact with.
Yeah, during a baseball season, you're living with these guys, and it's kind of a unique situation. It's day after day after day. Road trips, hotels and restaurants and the clubhouse, and it's just the same guys all the time. Feelings get a little ruffled every now and then, too. It's not always smooth sailing with all those guys in the same spot.
Very few teams that can go through a season without having some kind of rough patch.
I imagine losing has to do with that, too. I mean, if you're winning, it's a little bit different, I would imagine. The chemistry.
Yeah, feelings don't get hurt as easy on a winning team. Pirates are getting a little something going here with Wright having a little trouble getting the knuckleball over the plate all of a sudden.
They walked Hernandez, walked Sanchez, and now Rojas coming up here for the Pirates. The Pirates have left 4 men on to the first 7 innings. The Red Sox have really had a very nice pitching night. John Lester started 3 shutout innings. Ruby De La Rosa 2 shutout innings, and Stephen Wright has gone an inning plus, but he's walked the first 2 that he has batted here in the 8th. And here is Rojas.
Now, pitch counts have become such a huge part of the game of baseball. Is it different and you guys should know, with Wakefield all those years, is it different with the knuckleball pitchers? Do they kind of throw that out the window? or do they still watch it?
You know, I think in the years that we watched Wakefield with the Red Sox, they knew that they could use him in different roles, like he could start and then they could put him in the bullpen if they had to do that. But they still had to be cautious. I mean, you still have that arm action going to home plate. And if you take a look at the fly ball, it's going to be
Hazelbaker, nice catch out there in left field. He dives forward to make the grab.
How'd you like my play-by-play on that, Doug?
That was nice.
That's good.
That's good.
It's very reminiscent of my play-by-play work.
I'm really glad he caught it because I wasn't sure. It was 50-50. But getting back to Wakefield, you know, I think that they did have to watch his pitch count, and I think that they did have to, you know, give him the ample time between starts, even though he threw the knuckleball. I mean, he's still out there pitching.
So in this case, in spring training, everybody watches that pitch count. You know, there's a target for everyone that goes out there. Even a guy like Wright then would probably have
I'm sure he would,
a target that they're looking at and watching very carefully. Is this inning, you know, starting to get away from him a little?
To left on a line, Hazelbaker can't catch this. It's off his glove. Hernandez will stop at third base, and the bases will be loaded. This might have been an easier try for him. May have lost it in the lights.
Hard to tell. You know, sometimes those lights in these minor league ballparks are a little bit lower. And that line drive could have got caught up in the lights. So it's going to be a difficult play anyway. But they see him going to his right, and it's quite possible he did lose it in the light bank.
Paul might have had a little top spin on it, too. It
sure did.
He got out there, and maybe it was hooking away from him and diving a little bit.
So Sands reaches at first base, and that'll bring up Larish as the base is now loaded for the Pirates. Chance to do some damage here in the top of the 8th. Larish takes over for Garrett Jones at first base, who had been 1 for 3 in the game tonight. This one golf foul off to the left. Well, look at the success that Tim Wakefield had and R.A. Dickey last year, and you kind of wonder why more guys don't try to throw the knuckleball.
We were talking about that earlier. It just there's well, so much money at stake nowadays. You would think that young kids would be trying to be knuckleball pitchers, you know, from an early age. Yeah. It certainly is something that you can be extremely successful with if you do it correctly. But you know, I don't think it's you know, something you can just like say, okay, I'm going to do it and pick it up. Obviously, or more people would do it.
I'm sure as a former pitcher, you must have played around with it a little bit.
You mess around with it and try to get one, but it's so inconsistent. You throw a couple good ones and you think, oh, that's how they do it, and then when you get out into a game, you know, with the adrenaline and everything, then that's very tough then to try and throw one that doesn't spin. I tried to throw one knuckleball in my life. I actually got an out on it, but yeah, I mean, it was spinning and time. I might as well just threw a lob pitch in there.
Yeah.
Larish batting with 1 out, bases loaded here for the Pirates in the 8th. Jeremy Farrell on deck, the son of John Farrell, playing here tonight for the Pirates. Has been in minor league camp, but Pirates bringing him up for this special trip to JetBlue Park, Fenway South. It was a grounder foul outside of first.
And over the last couple of springs, he's seen a lot of action against the Red Sox. Almost. Well, I guess you know, last year, Blue Jays. I think.
Yes, yeah, when his dad was managing the Blue Jays last year.
It's a nice thing. I think that the Pirates, you know, they realize that, hey, you know, we've got to bring somebody up from the minor leagues. You know, why not? It is kind of a neat deal to be able to play in front of his father.
And that's unusual too, because having been in baseball so long for John Farrell, I imagine he's not seen him play a great deal during the summer. John's got something to do.
Oh, sure. I had 3 sons, and I saw very little of their baseball lives because you're at the ballpark in the summertime yourself. You don't really get to see them play. You always have to call home, ask the wife.
This is back up the middle into center field and a base hit. Hernandez will score. Here comes Sanchez. Throw goes to third. 2 runs in for the Pirates, and they get on the board finally here in the 8th. It's now 5-2.
That ball left upstairs a little bit.
Always tough, too, on those ground balls that low to the pitches. They much more difficult to field, and that one finds its way into center field for the base hit.
I'm going to have to get used to those big fat batting helmets they got nowadays.
Yeah.
Let's check back in with Robbie as Jeremy Farrell gets set here to bat.
And Jeremy Farrell calls this, Don, the spring tradition. 5th year in the Twins system, 5th year at spring training. He's been in minor league camp each of the 5 years. The Pirates have brought him up to face John Farrell. And, of course, that begins with John Farrell's last stint with the Boston Red Sox. I asked him if they talk about this at Thanksgiving and Christmas. He kind of looked, stopped, and smiled and said, nah, we don't talk about it, but it's still kind of cool to play against my dad every year.
Well, here he is, the chance to play against his dad, and comes into the game here in the 8th with runners at first and second. Wright has not been as sharp here in the 8th as he was in the 7th.
He's been out there a long time now.
Yes.
It doesn't look like there's a lot of pitches being left upstairs.
Yes.
It's not having that drop that it had earlier. Oh, went with a fastball.
I think that's the first fastball we've seen him feature in this game tonight.
Trying to get it over for a strike. He falls behind 3-0. He's thrown 24 pitches in the inning.
I think that would be something is so important for a knuckleball pitcher. Whatever your second pitch is, it has to be a strike, because that's the only time you're throwing it is when it has to be over the plate.
Well, here comes John Farrell to make the change. That was pitch number 25 of the inning, and the 3rd walk of the inning allowed here by Wright, who so far has been touched for 2 runs in the inning. So to the pen go the Red Sox. I think Alex Wilson will be coming in here. And Stephen Wright is done after an inning and a 3rd. It is Alex Wilson who is coming in here for the Red Sox. It'll be the 4th arm used. And Wilson, a 2nd-round pick of the Red Sox in 2009. As Stephen Wright has touched up a little bit in his 2nd inning of relief after 1-2-3 7th inning.
And Bob, we talked a little bit earlier about Red Sox and the division they're in. How about the division you guys are in? What do you expect out of them?
Well, I think the Reds are still the same team they were last year. They're going to be the, I think, favorite. Everybody is going to like to pick, and they should be. They're the best team, and they proved last year that they could handle everybody else. I think the big question mark team besides ourselves is St. Louis. What are they going to be like? Last year I thought maybe that they would kind of fall off a little with the changes that they went through, losing Pujols and losing a Hall of Fame manager, and they still were pretty tough. So I think that's going to be the 2 teams that you're going to look at as having to beat. St. Louis, a little bit of a question mark, but Cincinnati's certainly going to be tough. I think that we're on paper better than the other clubs. Been a while since I could really say that, but I think we've made that kind of progress now. Really, you could even make an argument that we're right there with St. Louis. So I have high expectations for us, and I think the fans have high expectations. The players, the coaching staff, baseball operations, everybody knows that this is the year that we finally have to make some kind of a push. Obviously, last year, being in the position that we were in the middle of August, so far over 500, they showed everybody the kind of baseball that they're capable of playing, and it was pretty darn good baseball. And so this year, it's you got to win. But the Reds are going to be tough.
Here's Tejeda with the bases loaded and 1 out as Alex Wilson takes over for the Red Sox here with 1 out in the inning. And so far 2 runs in. Alex Wilson last year, AAA, 40 appearances, 3 starts, 5-3 with a 3.72 earned run average. Spent the whole year with the Pawtucket Red Sox last year. After splitting time between Portland and Pawtucket the year before in 2011, and again a Red Sox second-round pick in the 2009 draft.
Well, they've been in Pawtucket for a long time, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
I think,
1976.
I was going to say back.
Yeah. Popped up, foul off to the right, and out of play.
Back in my International League days, they were in Pawtucket.
McCoy Stadium is still there.
If I remember right, it's not very far to the outfield fence there.
Yes. And not very far from Fenway Park. Very close. Bases filled here with Pirates, Sands, Larish, and Alvarez on the bases. Or Farrell, rather, on the bases at first base. Oh, 2 pitch coming up. That's a ball popping up. It was the catcher Vasquez, like he was going to throw it down to first.
Yeah, Red Sox this afternoon were working on pickoffs at both first base and third base, mainly from their pitchers. One of the fundamental drills they were going through early this afternoon.
Oh, nice block.
So we've seen Vasquez a couple of times, and he looks very strong behind the plate. We saw him in the game against Baltimore the other night. Had a couple of nice blocks in that game. Saved the run right there with a nice block.
Got the old school mask on. I like that.
Vasquez spending his career in the Red Sox organization. Last year, Double-A Portland. A fly ball foul off to the right, out of play. Alex Wilson in here for the Red Sox, 4th pitcher of the night. And trying to close the door on this threat by the Pirates. They've come up with 2 runs in the 8th and still have only 1 out in the inning.
Tying run. Aboard.
Look out, pitch in tight. Runners on, the responsibility of Stephen Wright, who looks on after a 1-2-3 7th. Ran into some trouble in the 8th. 3 walks. This is right back to the mound and picked nicely by Wilson. He'll turn it into 2. Double play that will end the 8th. Pirates get 2 back. It's 5-2 Red Sox. (5-2). The Red Sox have the lead over the Pirates. Pirates getting 2 runs back at the top half of the 8th. It's on to the bottom of the 8th inning. A cool night here tonight in Fort Myers. New pitcher on here for the Pirates. Hunter Strickland into the game. He split last year between A-ball and Double-A. 33 total appearances, 9 starts. 4-4 mark at a 3.70 earned run average.
A little big league experience up here in the month of March. little taste of what it's like.
24 years old, turned 25 in September.
It is a little chilly for spring training, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Came down from Bradenton with no jacket.
Ooh.
I had to go to the clubhouse. Kier Bowles, our equipment guy, fixed me up with the pirate coat, but I haven't had to worry. It's so nice inside this booth. That
yeah,
nice
a lot of time they have the air conditioning on, and on a night like this, you're absolutely freezing. But it's been comfortable up here tonight.
I thought I might be a little cold. I had to get that coat, but it's been perfect. This is my first time in JetBlue Park, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It's a great stadium.
The last half of the 8th, and a grounder foul outside of third base.
The spring training facility that you guys had before, though, was awfully nice.
Yeah, I'd like to see somebody move in there.
City of Palms.
That is
it'd be great to have another ball club down in the area here. You'd have the Twins, of course, the Red Sox, someone else there, and you go up the coast. It's not bad. An hour-and-a-half drive up to Bradenton.
You got the Rays in Port Charlotte, just 45 minutes away.
Yeah, that's a great facility over there that right now nobody's using.
Terry, it's all about you, per usual, and I know you're thinking about the travel time to the other places.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
It just
nothing
occurred
wrong
to me
with that at all.
Why you care that there's 3 teams in Fort Myers?
I knew exactly what he was talking about.
It took me a second.
It's not that, that's a nice ballpark going
really
to waste.
Nice, really
no,
nice.
you want another team here. That's why you want.
It took me a second to figure out where he was going.
No, I'm sitting here thinking, it just means another trip to Fort Myers.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, I knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah. Well, maybe there will. There were rumors last year that Washington Nationals and some other teams, but we'll see. It would be nice to have a third team.
It would be nice to have a third team here.
I was happy when the Rays went into Port Charlotte.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, and because that's not too far from us. It's not bad at all. So I was happy with that.
Off the mound, a high hop and a tough hop that gets through and into right field.
Jerry, you'd have had that one, wouldn't you?
I would have probably done the same thing that Tejada did, and that's go into protection mode right here. Watch out.
Whoop.
Just make sure you get out of the way of that one. Back up right through the 5-hole, and I don't know.
Right off the bat, immediately, if he would have went in, he might even have been able to get that ball before it made that hop, or at least had a short hop. But
once he started to back up, he was in trouble.
That was the end of things.
Here's Linares with a runner at first and nobody out here in the 8th. Linares had some good springs for the Red Sox over the last couple of years. Major League camp, the last few. And it's a fly ball to center field. Rojas makes the catch out there for the first out of the 8th. One down, and that'll take us to Mike Karp coming up here for the Red Sox. Vying for a spot at first base, coming over from the Seattle Mariners. Karp grounded out to shortstop in the 6th inning. Tonight, Mike Napoli got to start at first base. Bob, where are you guys opening the season this year? You're at home.
Home against the Cubbies. And then we immediately go out to the West Coast, have a series against the Dodgers, and then Arizona, and then back home again. A fairly tough early part to the schedule. Most of the teams were playing early had good seasons last year. So, but I like to think that really doesn't mean anything, because I remember last year when we went into the last 2 months, people pointed out how easy the schedule was, that a lot of teams are below 500, and we had nothing to worry about, and then we just crashed. So strength of schedule, I don't like reading too much into that, because it is baseball and anybody can beat anybody. You got to go out and play the games. So
Now, the Red Sox, on the other hand, have a very difficult start to the season.
Yes.
A lot of home games
in April.
In April at Fenway Park, but some very difficult opponents.
Open up against the Yankees and then go to Toronto before returning home to Fenway Park to get it started.
And I know for the last 2 years, the Red Sox have got off to just terrible starts.
Yeah.
And that's one thing they hope to avoid this year.
As a baseball fan, you hear so much about those Yankee-Red Sox games. Are they really different than all the other games you play?
4.5 hours.
Yeah.
To start with.
Yeah. It's all about the time.
Yeah. Back to us again.
But they're close. New York's not that far. You know?
No. Proximity-wise, they're close.
No, it is. It's like those are like mini playoff games. It seems like they're always televised nationally.
Right.
They have to mean more to the fans in Boston, for instance, and the players themselves than the other games.
They do. There's a different buzz to the ballpark anytime the Yankees are in town playing the Red Sox. It's been that way as long back as I can remember when I was playing with the Red Sox, and it's still the same way. I mean, that's people go get tickets for in the off season. They want Yankee tickets. They want to see the Yankees play. So it's it's interesting, and it depends on where the teams are. And for the most part, over the last 10 years, they've both been up near the top, and last year was a little bit different, obviously. But so it becomes a great rivalry between the two cities. I think for the most part, right now, it's really between the fans, even more so than the players.
The players, yeah. Because back when you guys were playing, you guys really did not like the Yankees,
and they didn't like us either.
And they didn't like you. And that's not the case right now. As this is a base hit into right field, throw goes back into the infield.
Well, there was a little something a couple of years ago, though, with A-Rod and some of the...
Jason Varitek.
Jason Varitek had a brawl at home plate. We take a look at the base hit here by Carp. A little trip around second base by Diaz, but he's able to get back. Things pop up. They've thrown Euclid a little bit. Jabba Chamberlain and Euclid almost got into it.
Which is ironic now that Euclid is on the team. Now teammates.
Yeah. But you play them so many times, and they're grinding long ball games. I mean, both teams seem to take a lot of pitches. They grind out at bats, and I mean, if you get out of there in 3.5 hours,
you're doing good.
In a Yankee Red Sox game, you're having an extra glass of wine that night. You're happy.
Yeah, they are a little on the long side.
No hold batting here with runners at first and second and one out. Check swing on a ball in the dirt. Didn't go.
The other thing that makes it grinding, Bob, is it brings so much media to one place. The New York, Boston media combined coming into a series like that. It's really draining on the players, the manager, everybody involved, because it's really kind of like a circus for 3 days.
Right. Hazelbaker waiting on deck. No 2 on, 1 away here in the last of the 8th. Pirates had just gotten 2 runs back in the top of the 8th. This one fouled off the catcher, Sanchez.
I don't think we need to see a replay where that one hit.
No, there's another thing, too, about how when pitchers get hit, it's so different than anybody else. Catchers, they take shots all the time that if, like, a pitcher takes that hit, the game stops, everybody goes out. Yeah, got to throw a couple, see if you're okay.
This is coming from a pitcher,
catchers,
too.
I admit it. But it's not always the pitcher's fault. There's a lot of times where, no, don't come out here, and they come out anyway.
That's what we're talking about early in the game. Half the time the pitchers don't want to see the pitching coach come out, or the trainers, or the manager. In particular, the manager.
No, you don't want to see him at all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. We're at Three River Stadium. The dugouts were so close to the field that you could easily hear the telephone ringing in the dugout. So if you were in a little bit of trouble and you heard the phone ring, you knew that was the bullpen saying he's ready.
Grounded to second base. For one, back to first, not in time. We get the middleman at second base as Carp is retired.
You knew then that, well, okay, don't get this guy. Manager's coming. Phone rang.
A little shuffle pass to shortstop right there. They're trying to turn a double play over, but not quite in time at first base.
Not hit hard enough.
Nope, not hit hard enough. They did the best they could, turning the deuce to Harder and Hernandez, but just didn't have enough velocity to do it.
Did I read somewhere in the offseason they're going to like wireless bullpen phones now?
Yes,
or
I
something?
think I did read that. I think you're right. Yeah, which would be different.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're like not maybe cell phones, but something.
Yeah,
we got another thing that's gone. The old phones on the walls.
Yeah, half of them don't work anyway.
Yeah. Most of the time, well, not most of the time, but used to be a long time ago. Well, when we were playing, all the pitchers in the bullpen would have some kind of a hand signal that would be different for each guy. And then, of course, the old, take your hat off means you're ready to come in. You really didn't need phones.
That should be another rule. The manager shouldn't have to go out to take the pitcher out. Just
say, hey,
come on.
Yeah. From the dugout.
From the dugout.
Call there.
Make the call there.
Yeah.
We got a lot of rule changes today.
You got a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You want to implement.
I know Jerry's into speed up rules more than anything else.
All the rules he wants to change, speed up the game. As he mentioned earlier, to get to his wine. 2 down runners at first and third.
Jerry, you got to hate the Yankee series then, huh?
Problem is, we don't do a lot of the games.
We have
it's like a lot of them are national TV games.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, if they come up on a weekend, it's Fox and ESPN almost every weekend. So we get a Friday night game, and then we don't get the Saturday and Sunday game.
The one rule that I disagree with Jerry on about speeding up the game, he thinks hitters should get in with 2 strikes. Right out of the gate.
No, I never said that. I never said that.
Maybe on getaway day. Maybe.
2 strikes. Yep, 2 strikes on the batter. A lot of pressure on the hitter at that point. This one is popped up foul. From third base, Farrell over by the seats. It'll come back for him, and he's able to make the catch. That ends the inning. The Red Sox strand a pair. We head for the 9th. Boston on top, 5-2. Back at JetBlue Park as spring training continues. The Red Sox and Pirates tonight from JetBlue Park at Fenway South. A 5-2 Red Sox lead as we get ready for the ninth. I want to remind you this Copperhead telecast produced in association with Root Sports and Nesson is presented by authority of the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Boston Red Sox. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without an express written consent of the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Boston Red Sox. Raul Furtado is the batter here for the Pirates. Fortunato sending it foul off to the right, out of play. That's on the spot of Brandon Inge as the DH. Inge had gone 0 for 3. This spot on the night as the Pirates bat here in the ninth. More Alex Wilson on the mound for the Red Sox. And quick work there as strike 3 from Alex Wilson, his first strikeout.
Well, since coming in the game, he had that double play to end last inning. Now he blows the fastball up and away by Furtado.
Vasquez was given that a very high target out there, and he put it right where he wanted it.
One out in the inning. Andrew Lambeau is the batter. Lambeau taking over in left field a couple of innings ago for the Pirates. I feel pretty deep and straight away for Boston. So far, Wilson's done a nice job. Was able to induce a double play to end the 8th. And a strikeout here to begin the 9th. Took over for Stephen Wright, who gave up the 2 runs the Pirates have. This one popped up foul, back and out of play.
A couple of base on balls hurt him. If he hadn't have done that, then he would have probably just cruised through, as he had that knuckleball dancing all over the place, but for some reason it just started staying up on him.
Ended up walking 3 in the 8th, and 2 of them scored.
I would assume with a knuckleball pitcher too, if the ball's not spinning, well, then where do you make your adjustment?
I've always wondered too, and I used to ask Wakefield about that. You know, what could a pitching coach possibly come out and tell you on the mound to try to help you get settle down? I mean, so few guys throw that. It's got to be difficult for pitching coaches too.
Managers, when do you take a knuckleball pitcher out? Because he might walk 3 in a row, but then strike out 5 in a row. Well, if it's dancing all over the place.
Exactly.
Yeah, as a manager, you're probably up and out of your seat constantly thinking, oh, no, not yet, no.
This is struck well to deep left center field. And diving in center field, not coming up with it, is Henry. That will get behind him. It's run down out there by Hazelbaker, but not before Lambeau is standing at second base with a 1-out double.
A nice effort by Henry out in center field, but again, coming off the bat of the left-handed hitter, that ball is going to slice away from him, and as much ground as he's able to cover out there in center, he'll go into the dive, but not quite come up with it. See, there's plenty of distance between the baseball and the glove there. Lambeau in the second base with the double. So the Pirates have battled back here late in this ball game to make it a game.
It's a tying run on deck.
There's Hernandez with 1 out and 1 on.
This is the chance for the younger guys to shine, try to get noticed. For the most part, these guys know that they're not going to be in the big leagues. They're going to be sent down at some point here. But when they do get an opportunity, they want to try and open somebody's eyes, and that certainly is the case with Lambeau.
I think a lot of guys in that situation, of course, know they're going to the minor leagues, just don't know where they're going. Was it going to be AAA? Is it going to be AA, back to A ball? Trying to make some kind of impression on Clint Hurdle, and hopefully later on in the year, if they need somebody, he might remember some of these guys, the way they perform in spring training for him.
This is chop left side, but moving was the shortstop hold. He can't get it, and it's into short left as Baker runs it down quickly, and a single for Hernandez. All of a sudden, first and third.
Assuming that Holt must have thought he had a pickoff on or something.
Well, you know, remember I tell you when they were working on those pickoff plays, but I don't know where he was doing right there, to be honest with you, because there was no sign of a pickoff attempt.
Do you think he had something going with Vasquez, maybe?
He may have a pickoff attempt if the ball got by, but that's dangerous territory right there. I think you're better off at this stage of the game. You just need a couple of outs to end it. Hold your position, get it out.
Yeah, the tying run is on deck.
Right. Now, doesn't make much sense.
We saw quite a bit of Holt at the end of last year. Looks like he's going to be a quality hitter, at least for average anyway. But the area that he certainly needs to get better at was defensively. That was where he was lacking.
I didn't notice what kind of pitch it was, but if it was a breaking ball, maybe he was cheating up the middle, thinking that ball was going to be pulled. But dangerous time to be doing that.
Here's a ground ball to short. There's a chance to make up for it. He'll go to second for one, on to first, and it's in time. A double play that ends the ball game. And, working it out there as Wilson does a nice job of relief for the Red Sox, and they win it 5-2. We'll be back with more from JetBlue Park right after this.